I have to read this part because
Go ahead.
This is the point where I paused the audiobook, I pulled out my Kindle, and I was like, I need to read this with my own eyeballs because this is bad. I trust the Cumbrian theologist, said Mordaunt. I don't, said Orion. A few pages later, they recommended remedy for wet gangrene is to suck it out from the affected appendage. Wet gangrene, repeated Mordaunt. Yes. Sucking? Yes, Orion enumerated a few examples for his edification. Fingers, toes, a penis in one unusual instance. Mordaunt stiffened. I will vomit yogurt on you if you continue. Let's just sit on that penis joke for a minute.
Let us sit on that penis joke for a minute.
Katie, goddammit. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Unresolved Textual Tension. White Woman Hour is down one this week, but today Katie and I have read The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Brigitte Knightley, which is a Dramini fic published. It's slightly different from the published fic, so I've heard. It's more changed than some of the other ones. But
wait a moment.
Did you not realize this was Dramini fic, Katie? Are you just now learning this? Oh my god, this is so funny.
Wait, is it really?
Yeah, you didn't know? Dear listeners, Katie and I have been talking about this book and bitching to each other a little bit, but apparently Katie didn't know it was published Dramini.
So wait, what do you mean? I'm gobsmacked.
It draws from is called Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love or something like that. It's not a one-for-one like name scrub. It's not like there is different. She built.
It's like an AU type of thing.
I'm so tickled that you did not realize this was Hermione.
But this isn't Draco at all. It's definitely like Hermione, I guess. I could see that because of the academia side of things. But this actually, one of my biggest complaints is actually going to end up being, oh, that's so funny. That's my complaint then. No, one of my complaints I was going to bring up, I don't know if I put it in the words that I really liked earlier or not. But I said at one point, so my critique had been like, oh, they should have extended the scenes. So I'm not going to go into it at this moment. Yeah. But they should have extended certain kinds of scenes so that way you could understand the character individually a little bit better and in varied circumstances. So that way when they met up together for their flirtatious escapades or whatever, you slowly but surely got to learn who they were through their individual lives because we weren't getting a lot of their conjoined interactions because it was through long periods of time.
And as you can probably think now, it would make so much more sense if they knew each other, say, from high school and were meeting up later.
I guess so, but even so, I still think that's like a week, like whatever. But yes. So, okay. Anyway, that's wild to me. I did not realize that. Oh, Jesus. Like, was this like a follow-up to Alchemized or something like that?
No, this was another really popular one people liked for a long time. Obviously.
So wait, you're telling me we have a plethora of Hermione and Draco fics to the point where, like, and I mean successful ones, that we have multiple novelizations.
Oh yeah, last year there were like at least 3 of them published.
That's insane. I mean, look, I get it because it's like, oh my god, I spent my heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears on this love story. I need to publish it somehow, so I get it. But
live Katie reaction to realizing she just read public fanfic. So
I would never. But see, the thing is like at least this one doesn't even seem like it's that. I guess. I mean, I guess it's a plus.
Shall we do our initial thoughts first or premise first?
Let's do initial thoughts first. You go first.
All right. So I, unlike Katie, went into this knowing that it was a Dramini fic originally, or at the very least, pulled from that Dramini fic. I started it like kind of optimistic. The tone is very quirky. It has sort of like there's like a cadence to the narration that kind of works. it is, I'm going to compare this a lot to The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which Katie was not on. It was my first review on this channel, but it has that sort of tongue-in-cheek, like everyone has the same sense of humor, sort of like whimsy about it. And it was fine for me for a little while, but then the like author's kind of like middle school sense of humor, all of the sex jokes, all the dick jokes, all like there's poop jokes. Like it's just like very sort of like base like humor. I'm like, this is so cringy to read. It's not funny. And she like really lays into it. And I'm just like, okay, all the characters have the same personality. They all think all these stupid jokes are funny. That's continuously made, and it just puts a damper on the whole thing. The romance I found deeply uncompelling because the characters are just quirky mouthpieces for this author's banter. And they've got like tropes painted on top of them, but that's it. It's just like banter, banter, banter. And it's just the author's voice through the characters, and it's very obvious. And I find that uninteresting in a romance. That's my initial thoughts.
I would say a lot of that I absolutely share. In fact, everything that she just said is something I also agree with. So keep that in mind. That being said, though, there's an outline for something I think I would like here.
I agree. In terms of like the plot and stuff, I feel some of it was interesting, and honestly, some of her world building was kind of interesting too.
It is actually. So I really wanted. I think that so there is a formula for how this story is told. The story is told in like this partnership fourths kind of thing, where it's like, so we're obviously going to explain.
I can premise
what happens
after
in the book
this,
with and everything. But there are these things called deifolds. I think I'm probably maybe pronouncing it wrong. But it's basically like think Golden Compass, like soul familiars, and everybody
like a
is
Patronus, but
oh my god, I see it now. It's so funny though because it had so much more Golden Compass-y
it does.
vibes.
It's very much like pulling from Golden Compass.
Yeah, but I see it with the Patronus now.
But
anyway,
yeah. Sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. That just like I was like gobsmacked yet again. Like I feel like I should have like picked up on that, but again the tone is very different. So it is successful in that way. But anyway, they have these things called deifolds. And anyway, in between the moments that we have the two main love interests interacting with each other, we basically have either them. So we have the scenes where they're together trying to do a thing. And then we have the scenes in between where you get references to what they're doing outside of that part of their lives. And then the way the other character knows what's happening with that is through their deifolds. And through these, like, going back and forth between these scenes, I don't think the author took full advantage of those moments. And I think she zipped through them way too quickly and focused on the wrong things during those times to where we didn't really actually get a personality from either of the two love interests. You get the etchings of what they're supposed to be very obviously. I mean, it's right there on the front cover in the art.
The tropes. The trope is in the title of the book, you know.
But
like,
they don't live who they are in the smaller moments, and that's that brings me to my next point, which is this author does not know how to slow down a scene, and does not know. And I mean, slow down a scene not in like, oh, it was a slowdown, and they looked at each other's eyes or something like that. I mean, she doesn't know how to break it down detail wise and make you in the moment, because there's several specific scenes where I was like, oh my gosh, this would have benefited from maybe 5 extra sentences creating an atmosphere through the description of some things. There's also another issue, which is that there is an overwhelming amount of reiteration throughout this novel. Like, they keep repeating the same things they've already said again and again, and it's all very corny and cheesy. And it's like, can't believe how handsome he is. I won't admit how handsome he is. I won't admit how beautiful she is. And it's already been said multiple times out of the character's voice and in a, like, purely contrived situation, basically. And then at one point, the pacing just kills itself. And it's a good thing at first because you're like, oh, we're finally getting the in-depth scene necessary to build their relationship in a way that would make sense romantically. But then afterwards, big surprise, guys, this book just ends super abruptly out of nowhere.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about how weird the ending was, because both Katie messaged me this morning and was like, so that ending was a little abrupt, and I was like, sure was. But let me run us through the premise real fast.
Yeah, go for it. That's my initial givings.
So the very basic premise of this is we have our two main characters who we switch perspectives on. Osric Mordaunt, who is our main boy. He is in Assassin Guild land. And this world, there are, I think, 6 or 8. There's a certain amount of like houses that have specialties in magic. He's in the one that lets him leap between like shadows. So they're basically just like hired assassins.
And I wanted to say, like, it kind of felt like the author was trying to take on a Terry Pratchett tone whenever she was explaining this Assassin's Guild. But the problem is it's all potty humor.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Let me finish the premise and then we can talk more about the tone. But so yes, he's in like sort of like Katie said, sort of like he assassin, like a potty humor assassin, as Katie said. And our main girl, her name is Orion Farum. Yeah,
I don't know.
And she is in the healer's house. Their little motto is do no harm or harm no person or something. And they are handling a pox right now, a pox outbreak, which is only affecting children. And they're really struggling through it in the Healy house. Our girl Orion is like, man, this sucks. I hate seeing children die. And shenanigans ensue when our boy Osric shows up. He's like, hey, girl, I've got a like magic degenerative disease that is gonna like take my magic away. I need you to fix it specifically, even though our houses hate each other. And she's like, no, we're enemies. We can't do that. And he's like, but what if I donate a bunch of money to your pox research? And she's like, oh boy, maybe. And it goes from there. That's I feel like that's a decent enough premise. That's a good window into it.
I do. I think it's a pretty solid. And from here on out, you're going to get pure spoilers of the novel. So if you didn't...
interests you, if you like quirk and whimsy and like a banter, perhaps you will like it.
I potty humor and dick jokes.
A lot of so many fucking penis. I'm gonna read you some of these, and I don't.
They're not good. They're not good. The problem is that they're just not good, and they're many. There are many of them. So like to the point where it's like I felt like one of my middle schoolers like wrote this book at one point.
It really feels like that, and I have the evidence to back it up. I'll have to like send Will the screenshots so he could put them up on the screen while I'm reading them, because some of them are so bad. And like tonally, this book is interesting because like I started it and I was like, okay, I can kind of, there is like a real rhythm to the comedy of her prose, kind of. Like,
yes,
you can especially hear it with the audiobook. Like there's sort of like it's a very verbose, and she uses all of these. You can tell, like, it feels very like Thesaurus was out while she was writing this, but there's a charm to it. Like
there is,
like a rhythm of this like verbose British humor. But like, it's just like, it gets to be a bit much sometimes. And like Katie said, like, she just repeats the same sort of context between these characters, like, oh, we hate each other, but why am I blushing a little bit? And it happens so much, and it becomes so repetitive that I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, okay, yes, we know you think he's like a moldy crouton or something, or one of the many like
a ganglion cyst.
Yes, an illiterate aubergine or whatever. Like there's so many like snide little hee hee ha ha's in here, and I'm just like, at a certain point it just gets to be like great.
It's not just that either. It also takes away from the development of their relationship, because that would make sense at first on a shallow basis, but then once they started working together with each other a little bit more, just even in the fact of working on him together to address his illness, it could have evolved from there into some other discourse on certain things. I thought at some point we're going to have a discourse on, like, I thought it was going to be this serious, because that's the tonal disparity too. There is a very what's her name again? Not Ariel. Shit.
Orion.
Ariane, thank you. On Ariane's side, things are like she does a great job juxtaposing their personalities through their narration on either chapter. Hers is very serious. His is very. I don't think it's done the right way. Okay, wait, I'll get into that.
I get what you're saying, though. She does like very much lead into this sort of like intellectual side of it, whereas with him, he's like, I'm a charming gentleman assassin or something. Like,
the problem is that I was about to get off track about is that it doesn't work because of a specific reason, but we'll get into it later. But the other thing is that because the tone is so serious, especially like it actually is pretty like there are some high stakes going on. It's like
we're gonna have to talk about it because a lot of the scenes in between their banter moments are actually dealing with pretty heavy stuff, like with the kids dying of the pox. But then we also have this guy sort of like slapstick comedy assassin killing people left and right. So it's a little bit like
it doesn't match with her. It
doesn't quite. The seesaw of tone just does not really work.
Especially with her coming to terms with his profession as an assassin, like it feels very Oh, let me just erase that real quick and move on past it once we get to that.
Oh, he killed some bad guys and he helped me once, so now I'm okay that he's an assassin. Anyway, let's start it with the plot, so we don't front load too much of the big picture. I believe we start with our boy Osric. He is talking to his like lady. He's got like a butler lady who's like in his dilapidated mansion. Miss Parson or something.
Oh, yeah, what is her name again?
Mrs. Parsons, I think.
Yeah. But he also has like several like medical professionals in there, medical professionals in the room with him, and he's getting diagnosed for his safe disease that he has. And in this world, safe is their magic, basically.
Yes, we should actually get into the world a little bit first. We should do that. So safe is their magic. It manifests as a little tattoo on the palm of your hand. And there's two there's like the dusk side and the dawn side or something similar to that. And
left-hand path versus the right-hand path.
Basically the good guys and the bad guys, the ones with the dark, creepy powers and the ones with the light, good powers.
Yeah, and then they get these things, those markings on their hands are called Tarkin, and they get them when they join an organization, when they've gone through some type of schooling or some type of whatever it is, whether it's assassin or medical schooling. God, this is such a AU for Harry Potter.
You're realizing this as we go. You're like, oh.
Yeah. But anyway, they get these Tarkin, which allows them to more easily use their safe with the world. So it's like the way I pictured it, it was like a seal, and through that seal, it's a gateway. And through that gateway, they can use their magic more readily. And so that's the whole thing. And then also, by the way, when she knows, you don't know though, maybe. The safe has a cost.
Yes, a capital C cost, in case you were wondering. This author capitalizes a lot of random words, which I'm going to
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later, though. But yeah, everyone's, when they use their safe too much, it has a cost, a capital C cost. And it's different for everyone. For our boy Osric, actually, what is his? Does he go blind?
He goes blind. His eyes wide over, and he goes blind. And for
our main girl Oriane, her
hands chapped.
Her hands get chapped until she's just bleeding on her hands.
And all she has is her full. I think at one point she says, and then her phalanges will show. Which I will say this:
it's gnarly as hell. Imagine bloody hands with bones sticking out. That's sick as hell.
So cool.
And then, but of course, they both get sort of cool, not too ugly ones, because someone else is very much described as having just a gastrointestinal distress as their cost. And I'm like, of course, one of our characters doesn't get that with.
No, it's really cool. It says eyes wide over, that our hands become bloody hands, which I actually, hey, hell.
It sounds cool as hell.
But it equals itself out, though, because another character's is hair loss, and so she just always keeps bald. And then another person, I think they cough up blood or something, because that has to do with lesions or something, just earlier on. But the point is they have these... when you overdraw on your safe, it's because there's only a limited amount you get each day. Then you... I guess experience the capital C cost.
Yeah, and so all of these different sort of magic houses are technically sort of there's a peace agreement between them, but some of them don't like each other. They kind of like they do their jobs separate from the political sphere, and the world that we're in is sort of an alternate universe, like England, I think, where like the different states are sort of like, or I don't know that much about history.
Actually, so at one point, guys, it mentions a war, and I don't know
it's between Wessex and Kent, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you know what year it happens?
I don't think there are years mentioned in this book.
No, I was assuming it was an allusion to a real war. So maybe, if it's not a real war, then I have nothing to go by.
I'm pretty sure that this takes place like in a universe where a certain like where like
event has happened, where things are different.
Happened, and so like the UK is still sort of split up into these different sort of like tribes, for lack of a better word that I could think of in my head.
Tribes is great. It's because that's the way they kind of like, or city states type of thing.
Yeah, they're not allowed to. The houses aren't allowed to directly attack each other. They're supposed to be apolitical, but like in The Witcher, which we just finished, it's sort of like the sorceresses who always have their little machinations going.
It actually has the same vibes as the technological efforts of The Witcher. It's because it says 800 years, it's been 800 centuries after this war or whatever. And the way they talk about it and the way they talk about electric versus gas and stuff, it's like this weird steampunk in between.
It's a very much like sort of like I don't know, what do they call it? Gas lamp fantasy kind of?
Yeah.
Victorian era-esque, but also extremely modern when the author decides she wants it to be. Like everyone talks like a millennial, and at one point, like our main girl has to dress up and she's just wearing like a slutty little. We'll get there. Oh, but this is the vibes. We'll talk about it when we get there.
No, I know. I'm just saying though, just keep your knickers on, everyone.
And they talk about the cinema at one point, but it's spelled with an S, like cinema.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think it's because it was like a porno situation. But anyway.
Oh, maybe. But there's this, what Valerie was alluding to just before. There is one scene where it is so contemporary that it completely draws you out, and the tone is it's like the tone, if you guys have played Dispatch, it's the same exact tone as the bar scene in Dispatch, and it's like, wait a second, what? Like, what world are we in? This is like very weird.
We'll talk about it when we get there. But I think that's a good enough like overview of like what we're dealing with. These are the vibes that we have.
These are the powers that be, and so on.
All right, so we start with our boy Osric. He's like we said, getting like checked out by these medical people, and they're like, "Listen, sorry, man. Like, we can't help you. The only person who can help you is of the Halsin tribe, which is the healer tribe." Is that
no Halen?
Halen.
Yeah. Because like Halo, Halen.
we got to keep it in our brains here. Both of us have like the ADHD. The two of us
like blondes will
brain.
Be able to scrub together a few brain cells, as the joke goes.
Yes. So the Halens are the only one who can help you, man. I'm so sorry. And he's like, man, those guys hate me. They're never gonna help me. So he talks to like Miss Parsons, and he's like, I suppose I'll just have to go kidnap one and force her to do my bidding. And it has to be this one too for some reason. She's like the smartest and she has the most.
It's specifically because she has a report that she explored back in her younger years, and that report has to do with potentially helping him.
Yes. So he's like, well, she looks like a huge bitch, but I'm gonna see if I can bribe her. If bribing doesn't work, I'll just use kidnapping. We'll see how it goes. So
oh my God, wait a second.
What?
When he looks at the paper, it moves like the newspapers.
Just like in Harry Potter. You can see the sprinkles of Harry Potter in this universe.
Because that didn't make any sense to me. I was like, wait, why do the pictures move? Are we like in a sci-fi setting?
This is so funny. And a lot of the like magic and the quirkiness of the unexplained sort of like comes from the sort of Hogwarts universe. And I'm just going to say it right now. I know someone in the comments is going to be like, who put a gun to your head and made you support trans people? But we don't like J.K. Rowling in this house. She sucks. I'm not the kind of person who thinks that the Harry Potter is a bad book series because of this. But I don't want to support her. I think she sucks ass. And
did you see that? Wait, brief moment. We have gotten comments recently, especially on the Alchemized video, about how like there's like too much hate for J.K. Rowling. It's like old school, like get over it. And it's like
she's awful. She's a terrible person.
Never. I'll never get over it. It's like talking about certain people and okay, wait. I'll just leave it at that.
Two like ADHD bitches trying to get through the plot. We'll see how this goes, guys.
Oh, shit. You're right. Oh God, no. Let's continue.
Yes.
If you need me to take over, I know this really well. Like I remember the
Okay.
story very well. So
Okay, if you want to do this part, go ahead.
okay, sure. So anyway, Osric, he gets that feedback that, oh, nobody can help him except for likely this person. So he's like, all right, bet. Where does she live? At a place called Swanstone, which I wonder what reference that is to. But it's called Swanstone, and it's in the middle of an icy region. And there are things called wardens there, and the Halens have deals with the wardens. And basically, the deal is they exchange a few of their best with each other, the best healers for the best like protectors, I'm assuming. And the wardens, if I'm not mistaken, have like really big gear. I'm just not sure how to picture it, honestly, because I don't think she did a great job
do a lot of
explaining
great
it.
descriptions. But they're another one of the magic houses. Essentially, they're like the knights in shining armor to the healers, and they sort of like.
I was sort of picturing like mecha armor.
I honestly had nothing in my head for the wardens. I absolutely nothing in here.
Not because of the book, guys. The book does not say this, but I was picturing like the big loader, whatever they're called from Alien, but I was picturing it in like mecha vibe and then like light power. So kind of like I don't know.
Katie, come on, let's not get distracted.
Anyway, the point is that they're there, and so he's like, I'm like so talented that like most people couldn't get past. Yeah. Most people couldn't get past wardens, but no problem for me. So anyway, he sneaks past all this. He goes into her office. He karate chops her secretary and stuffs him under the desk, and then just sits there very ominously and it's like, I'm going to impress her, and I'm going to start off with wooing her before I try to negotiate and then threaten.
But then she walks in, our girl Orion, and looks at him like completely disinterested. She's like, "Oh, you're here." Hands him a basket of onions, is like, here's your onions. Sorry, I don't have a lot of time. Be on your way. And he's like, she just really fucked up my whole entrance by giving me these onions. I don't look cool anymore. I'm holding onions. And like, it's a little bit funny. And it is. Like, oh, aren't you
right
the new
now
like,
it's
Undertaker
endearing.
or something? I was going to pay you with onions. Make soup with it or something. He's like, I'm not an Undertaker.
Well, what's funny is that it alludes to the whole fact that like she had a previous weird agreement where the onions would satisfy as payment for something. And so it's like this, like, it's like for her, it's an inside weird situation. And for him, it's an outside weird situation. So it comes together as being pretty funny.
Because
but anyway, he's like,
to be dangerous and charming. And now he's just like, now I smell like onions. Wah.
Yeah. And it's done well enough at this point where you're just
at this point I was like, okay, this is the tone of the book so far. I'm kind of getting into it. I'm getting myself on the level of this book's tone. I'm like, okay, this is quirky. I can handle this.
Yeah. And of course, then it becomes clear that that is not what he is there for. He's there for some other reason. And he lays down what he threatens her in the end.
He refuses to tell her who he is because he knows she will refuse to help. If not, he's like, I'm not showing you my palm because I know you're going to refuse. So she's like, okay, so I'm just not going to help you. I'm going to press my little panic button and the guards will come in. He's like, don't do that unless you want your guards to die. And she's like, so you can handle all wardens with one person. He's like, do you want to find out?
Yeah. And so, real quick, on the front cover of the book, all incarnations I've seen in fan art, because I love looking up fan art for books like this, and very specific scenes in this book paint Osric, that man, our main romantic interest, if you haven't gotten used to his name yet, paint Osric as like what's the Prince Charming, like a Prince Charming from Shrek.
Sort of cleft chin, but
his
I'm picturing
attitude
big jaw, like just like too sparkly, like so full of himself, exactly like the Shrek. You're right. He's. Like,
I very much got the vibes of either Prince Charming from Shrek or one of the characters from Nimona, and I was like, oh, he's supposed to be the or like, oh god, you could really see the gap.
Like that's exactly like the face that you made is exactly how I pictured.
Yeah, the Chad face. But what's weird is that he doesn't actually, as we go through this, actually incarnate that. So this is like one of the first moments too. He doesn't come across this way specifically, even though he specifically says to you, the reader, "Oh, I'm trying to seduce her." He doesn't really say anything that seems very seductful or realistically
No,
seductful.
he just says a couple of stupid banter lines, and he's like, "Damn, that didn't work." And I'm like, "You weren't even like being like flirty or sexy. You were just saying stupid stuff." Like,
yeah, it wasn't funny.
Work?
It wasn't cute or endearing in it like a charming way where you would like, "Oh, this would work," because it is treated in the novel like this works for him. And so I'm like, what? That's anyway.
Immediately these two, even though they're sniffing at each other, the banter is bantering, you know, that it's a back and forth. It's a ha 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 ha.
Yes.
Ha, ha. And like, it's very much like it's the kind of thing that's very common in books like this, where the author has a specific sense of humor and she gives it to every single character so that she can write her little jokes. And I'm like, babe, just do a stand-up routine at this point. Like, you think you're funny, and some people will think you're funny, but I don't, unfortunately.
Yes. It reminded me a lot of Princess Florinda, but the bad parts of Princess Florinda.
I was going to say, also, this reminded me of like Tamsin Muir's humor, just even in like Gideon, very much similar to like the Gideon and Harrowhark sort of relationship, where it's like I hate you and I'm going to be quippy with you, but it works so much better in there because one, it's not like hammered over our head all the time, and two, it's like a very specific and purposeful when she uses her humor, and this is just like an onslaught.
Yeah, that would be like the difference between getting like needlepoint pressure like massage versus like the people that like just pound on your back with their feet. Like so it just is a little hammer over the head. But anyway, they do you want to take us on from there?
Yeah, and I also like another like little tangent I want to go on here is part of Osric's safe issues, like his safe is being drained. It's said to us that the safe is very connected to the nervous system in the body, and he is going numb in his arms and across his body, but he is still able. It has not affected his dexterity as an assassin at all. And let me tell you, that pissed me off because as someone who has nerve damage and one of my toes is numb and it hurts. Numbness hurts and it affects every part of your movement. Like it actually like severely affects your movement, and it's like it's painful. And the fact that he doesn't even think about it, and at one point he gets like a stab wound that we'll get to later, and he doesn't even realize. I'm like, the nervous system, maybe I know it's magic. I know it's magic, so it's different.
But that doesn't.
But
what's
like,
the purpose?
It irritates me that she's using this, and I'm like, okay, this isn't affecting him in ways that like it just pissed me off personally so much that.
No,
it doesn't affect him.
You have a really good point, though. It's because it's not about there's magic and stuff like that. It's the author inserted this as a plot point, as a character deficiency. And as Chekhov's gun specifically states, you want to have details that all accumulate into a reason. And so why mention the numbness unless it's going to affect the character in a way that will affect the plot at some point? So this was an empty vessel of a detail.
And again, I think it's supposed to be that he gets stabbed later and doesn't realize it. But anyway,
but the point is, though, is like when he doesn't realize it, it's like 10 seconds and somebody points it out, or something points it out. But he, like, if it was like something where like he didn't notice and so therefore he bled out and didn't make a decision or something, then I guess that would make sense. It's because that would affect the plot. But for right now, does it really affect the plot? No, it doesn't really get in the way ever.
And like, again, like I'm kind of willing to be like, okay, maybe she just like this is just sort of like a quirky world where we're not thinking about it. I could sort of extend my disbelief there, but like with all the pox and the dying children and stuff, I'm just like, you know what, maybe he should have thought about this. So many authors just don't know how to write disabilities in characters at all, and it's just very frustrating.
So as Val was saying, so there's like numbness and stuff, so he's getting the beginnings of this. So they end up making a deal. They're like, all right, she says, I need a place to examine you. I don't know if this exactly happens in the scene, but long story short, they establish a meetup of where she can do a diagnostic on him to see what exactly is wrong, because she doesn't even know what's wrong yet.
And we did say, he offered to give her like 20,000 of what, or 20 million maybe, of whatever currency they use in this world. And he's going to make an anonymous donation, like just leave it on the doorstep essentially, which is an interesting plan. but it works. They receive their anonymous donation, and she's like, I guess, okay, we'll meet up for the examination.
As a side note too, guys, so this 20 million seems like a really big deal to him in the beginning, because when he's discussing it with his like
he's
maid
rich,
lady,
but yeah, she's like, that's like almost all your
that's like everything in your coffers. And he's like, okay, well, we'll just fake it. We won't actually pay her. And then he figures out that's not going to work. And he's just like, well, we'll just steal it back. And she's like, good idea, sir. And I want to everybody to know this never happens. He never steals it back. And then also, which it makes sense because slowly but surely he gets emotionally attached. But also, like, then why bring it up? Why didn't he just drop the 20 mil and move on? Because when we get his house later, it doesn't seem to be a problem. But anyway, moving
again,
past
a silly thing to bring up if it's not going to be an issue later. But
so they you were saying something about the what was it? Where are we at this point? There was another detail.
So was there? So I was going to skip ahead to the examination part.
Yeah, go ahead. That works.
So they meet up once after they receive the donation, and she examines him, and she's like, man, there is no cure for this. I want you to know. And she's looking at him, she's like, this is like really far gone. Like, you're going to lose your magic at this point. All I can do is slow it down. And he's like, no, I saw your research studies about, you used to study the old magic. And she was like, how do you know about this? Because this is imagine like you go to university, and instead of studying like, science, you study like folklore, and you're like, it's kind of like that vibes. It's like, it was just like a whimsical thing of the past. This old magic is like, I was trying to weave it into like, modern magic and the safe and how we use it. But it was just like, it was a childish whimsy. Like it can't be done. Other scholars have lost their licenses by trying to do this. And he's like, well, I think if it's the only thing, why not just try it? And she's like, I don't want to lose my credibility as like a healer. Like I could,
and it also
fuck up my career. Yeah, and
it's also very ethically incorrect from her viewpoint.
But also she hates him. She's like, but why do I feel bad about this guy? I could just do my little experiments on him. And when she goes back after this, she's like, I'm not think about it. She goes back and talks to her other healers, and Xanthi, one of her old 200 years old, like another healer that she works with, is like, girl, I always was bummed that you tossed out that thesis. You could use this bitch for your experiments, and if he dies, he dies. Who cares? Like,
so, real quick, pause. I wanted to say something here. So, number one, we didn't mention it before, but Xanthi is really the big reason why she even met up with him in the first place. It's because Xanthi is basically her head nurse lady, and her what's the term?
Kind of a mentor figure? Is that what you're
mentor,
looking for?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Her mentor. And she was like kind of against it. And Xanthi's like, no. Because she ends up walking into their meeting originally. And she's like, oh, who's this onion boy? And they end up making the deal that way. And Xanthi's like, yeah, if he's going to give us 20 mil for this, absolutely go bonkers on him. Who cares? This is the beginning between this Duskin and what was it, the Daylit? Or is it Dawn?
Let me actually look it up because I know I'm going to get it wrong. Glossary.
No, it's fine. While you're looking, bright and dark path.
A bright and dark path. Yeah, I think that is. A bright path and Duskin path.
A bright path and Duskin path. So obviously Xanthi's on the bright path because she's a Halen, and our main character looks up to her quite a bit. But this is the first stirrings, especially when juxtaposed next to all the other characters that are Halens that are just like really goody two-shoes, basically, where I'm like, is Xanthi going to at some point become corrupted? And I'm going to bring this up again later when a plot point comes up, because then I thought was compounding it. And I genuinely thought Xanthi, and maybe in the because this
maybe
is supposed to be
in the
a
other
duology.
one, but yeah, nothing came of that. She seems to be, have her
a perfectly fine, normal friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have my suspicions that she's going to go dark. And if she doesn't, then what the heck was all this for? Oh my gosh, she's like setting down foreshadowing for this. And I don't know if she doesn't, if she's not doing it on purpose. I'm like, what the heck are you trying to say then with this character? But
I'm going to be honest, I didn't pick up on that foreshadowing, but I also might have just not been paying attention.
She just kept, the thing is it's very specifically stated on so many occasions what the Halen believe in, and like the whole idea of the bright path and what you're supposed to pursue. There's this part that's going to come up very shortly, but it's such a small thing, so I feel like it's okay to just mention it very quickly. Where because otherwise it feels like a throwaway moment too. And it comes up very quickly too, where there's another assassin character that's part of Osric's guild. And this assassin character, as his war chief tells him, decided to grow a conscience. And he's like, oh, like, I don't want to kill this person because they don't seem like they deserve, specifically the word deserve comes up. And she says, he didn't think he deserved to be killed. So we're going to have to hunt him down and kill him. It's because he went against our ways. And so that is a whole like little itty bitty bubble scene that happens at a random point that we'll probably forget about at some point because it was not pertinent at all to any other part of the plot. So why bring up that he thought that this person didn't deserve death, but then we have Xanthi thinking, you know what, this character deserves death, because as it continues to build on.
They're trying to give us the dichotomy of, oh, look, a healer would think someone deserves to die, but an assassin questioned the morality of someone's death.
Oh, that's such a shallow way to use that. No, you use it to switch the characters. And it's, whatever. Okay. Now I'm angry if that doesn't happen.
Anyway, where were we? Okay, so
they met up. They decided that,
and she was like, "Fine, I will do this." And yeah, so the Deifols are used, which are their little Patronus creatures. They're little more than cell phones in this series. They're used as cell phones. Like, hit me up on my Deifol. We'll communicate via creature. So our girl Orianne is like, sends her Deifol and is like, hey Osric, meet me at the fucking like Spotty Bottom or whatever, which is going to the butt acne
doctor's place in this one place.
This will be great. No one will find us here at the butt acne place. It's very funny, everyone. We love butt humor. Acne is hilarious.
Okay, so this first time, I actually think it was funny. When it continued, I thought it was kind of dumb. It's because how many embarrassing specific doctor places are you going to pick? But on the first go, it's actually...
the whole universe has been like designed by someone who loves potty humor. Like every single building in this place
is named a dumb thing. And so when it first happens, so it's kind of funny. The buildup is well done, I think. It's because he's like, the something like the medical terminology, and he's like, what does that mean? And so he asked for a place where neither one of them would be recognized, and but she asks during the day, and he doesn't like that. It's because, he's the Duskin Path, so he's in the shadows because he's a shadow man. And so as he's going to the Spotty Bottom place, he's just like, but as he realizes what it is, he's like, oh my God. And as you, the reader, because if you don't like know, I mean, you can assume what it is, because it's like something about like the butt feliciitis or something like that. Any doctor people are like, in my pronunciation. But so as he's walking up, it's pretty funny. And it is even funnier because when she sees him and he complains about it, she says, you asked for a place where I could have the materials I needed. And so she's just very pragmatic about it. She didn't even mean it as a joke. It came across to me. And so the fact that she doesn't mean it as a joke, but he takes it as an insult is the funny part of this in particular.
And I know it's not at this one. They meet up a couple of times, just like preliminary, like examinations, banter. And it's not this one in particular, but I have to read this part because this is the point where I was like, okay, I had to I paused the audiobook, I pulled out my Kindle, and I was like, I need to read this with my own eyeballs because this is bad.
Oh God.
So so he shows up.
Is it the nipple one?
No. So he shows up after killing someone to their meeting place, and she's like, he was like, yeah, I just I killed a man, ate his yogurt, and she's like, what? You ate a dead man's yogurt? He's like, yeah, I barely touched it. And then so she starts her little exam of him. Blah 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 blah. It's like, how does this feel? And she starts going into the science of it. And let's see. We're here because a fragment of Cumbrian theory mentions a wondrous healing on this very spot 200 years ago at sunset on the day of the Cusack moon, whatever. It's one of the few sources that offered the triumvirate of time, place, and moon. So here we are. I trust the Cumbrian theologist, said Mordaunt. I don't, said Orion. A few pages later, they recommended remedy for wet gangrene is to suck it out from the affected appendage. Wet gangrene, repeated Mordaunt. Yes. Sucking? Yes, Orion enumerated a few examples for his edification. Fingers, toes, a penis in one unusual instance. Mordaunt stiffened. I will vomit yogurt on you if you continue. Let's just sit on that penis joke for a minute.
Let us sit on that penis joke for a minute.
Katie, goddammit. But, like, girls, ladies, come in.
Gentlemen, even.
Come in closer. Mordaunt stiffened. Yes. I will vomit yogurt on you if you continue.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the pun. Do you want to explain it a little bit more, Valerie?
You just know that she had him eating yogurt earlier in the season so she could make this joke. Just know. I'm just like...
It's so, but you know what's so funny is that what's not so funny actually is that as this came up, I'm just like, okay.
This was the one where I was like, oh God, not again. Like, no, not the penis.
It wasn't funny. It's not that funny. It's not actually comedic. There are things she does that are very comedic, but this is not
funny.
One of them.
Yeah, like I have a few highlighted where I'm like, okay, that was a little bit funny. But most of them I'm just like, and if it was just this, if it stopped there, I'd be like, forgivable.
But she keeps pushing it.
It just keeps happening.
So while that is a later happenstance, basically during this first part is that she uses these old machines, which are very funnily named, but she uses these old machines because she's not going to use her safe to do all of this. It's because they have to conserve their safe. And they see the network of his magical nodes and stuff, of his like basically neurological system, but for his magic. And you see the decay of it. She explains about the calendar idea and how this all comes from basically a lodestone, sort of a lodestone. I don't know. Like it's not a Rosetta Stone because it doesn't actually help explain another thing or any other languages, but it has like some clues on it. And so she's like, okay, I'll try my best to go through the likelihoods of all the different combinations of things that are important. A lot of important things are things that are on the edge of things, so in between places. So like between water and land, and then between dawn and dusk and stuff like that.
More powerful on like the full moon, like times of importance, which is interesting. It's interesting that like old magic is sort of fixated on these sort of in between cusp like places. I like it. It's interesting.
I do like it. Her execution of it is super stale.
Sloppy and like, and we'll talk about it more later, but it becomes very, very clear that them being an in-between place, will they, won't they relationship is
probably going to be
part of this in-between magic, and that will they, won't they. And it's hammered into it.
It is. So once they meet up at the Spotty Bottom place, I think we get a couple of in-between moments where they try in a couple of different locations. Like they try at this one marsh area, and she has him take his shirt off. And then she like does the like she puts her hand on like the back of his neck in order to do the like I suffuse you with my magic thing, and it doesn't work the first time. She's not surprised. It doesn't work the second. Where are they the second time?
I think that's from the part
the hot baths. The hot baths.
Yeah, we are
with
gonna
the
have to talk about that. Oh yes, and I also I've got another joke for you guys on that one too. So they the hot baths are apparently one of these like kind of liminal in between thin places. So they go there. Our girl Orion does not in fact realize the hot like springs are inside a brothel. So what is the place called? The Randy Unicorn or something?
Yeah.
So they meet up at the Randy Unicorn, and our boy Osric is like a best brothel in town, and she's like, huh, all right.
You would know, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. And so they walk inside. Our girl Orion sees a man with the hugest dong she's ever seen in her life. I'm gonna read this.
Please do, because it's actually kind of like there's this one. So at first I didn't think it was funny. It was kind of like a little bit over, like it was hammy, no pun intended. But then there's this one part that she gets to. Maybe it's the part you're gonna read, where she says something and he says something, and I'm just like, that was kind of funny, I guess.
I don't know if it's this one. If you think this is funny, I'm happy for you, but I think this is real, real bad. There's something. I'll read some that I think are kind of funny later, but here, let's start here. Orion squinted at the raunchy signs in the penumbra. This way for women seeking women. This way for women seeking men. This way for whips and change. This way for groups. This way for inanimate objects. Absorbed by a picture of a man vigorously penetrating a boot, Orion bumped into the counter. This one was adorned with a painting of a pie. Hiya, said the naked, muscular man behind it. How can we inseminate you today? Said Orion articulately. Mordaunt seized her by the elbow and pulled her away. Sorry, mate, he said to the naked man. Wrong counter. The man nodded in friendly understanding. He had the largest penis that Orion had ever seen. It nodded too. Mordaunt steered Orion towards the rightmost corridor. The penis all but waved goodbye at them.
No, keep going. Wait, there's
we're here for the baths, not your breeding kink, said Mordaunt. That man was remarkably well endowed. I can't keep going.
What I love is her scientific interest in it, where she was just like, he was remarkably well endowed. How do you think? And then she asks like a question or two, and it's like, oh, that's the funny part.
Oh, yeah. 2 words for you. Bruce cervix, Orion, still watching the Clydesdale over her
shoulder. That just made me laugh. I was like, oh.
It's not erect. Drapes it around his neck like a feather boa, said Mordaunt. And I'm just like...
Okay, that part went too far. The part where she's anatomically interested in it, I think that's kind of funny.
That is funny. If they left it at that, but it's just like, don't make your...
No, as soon as you do the feather boa thing, it's like, well...
But also the nodding and waving part of, I don't think so.
I think that's so dumb. Okay, so I'm going to be real with you right now. I think it's funny. At any point, whether in real life or in a contrived circumstance in a movie or in a book, when a penis bobs. I don't know why. I just think it's so stupid. It looks like a dumb snake.
It's just like, this is a really great example of the slapstick comedy of like the sex jokes in this book. It's just like, there's so much of it.
The thing is if she picked and choose, once again, as we said with Tamsin Muir, or what Val really said about Tamsin Muir, if you pick and choose the times when you use this humor, you have to also use it on an edge too.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, she chooses the weirdest times for it. They don't always land. And she always like lingers on it for like
too long,
half a page too long, quite frankly. There's one later where they're just making a joke about like pubic hair for like
oh my gosh, there's a whole character designed for only this humor, and he has no purpose. He's inserted in situations that don't make it funnier.
He's just there to make more of these stupid jokes, and it makes me so crazy. I'm like, you are undermining your own like writing. Humor by like the comedy of your own writing by just acting like a fourth grader, like he isn't it funny that body's funny, and I'm just like,
it's a very strange tone when compared to the rest of the book's tone. It does not fit, and it again is not it doesn't hit. So but anyway, so they go into the healing waters, and apparently, and there are all these like little quirky jokes yet again, as we already said, where it's like, oh, you better be careful in those hot waters, such and such. I forget his name.
Scrope.
Scrope. Yeah. Scrope. Which I assume is supposed to sound like scrotum. I guess jizzes.
He's actually a character later.
Yeah, it's a whole character. But he jizzes, I guess, in the bathtub. Not bathtub, the hot springs. And so anyway, and they do shared. I did like this part. Again, another nice aspect of it is like there's this like colloquialism, or not colloquial, not communism. Oh my God, words. There's this, what's the word for when community, like, communal, I guess. Yeah.
Communal baths.
There are communal baths, and I liked the way, because it kind of seemed like this society is in a weird way, like sexuality doesn't, like, or not sexuality. I think this book does a pretty good job on not putting sexuality on a pedestal while still being accepting of sexuality, which is fun. It's because it felt fairly natural, and this isn't a book about sexuality, so luckily for us,
the fact that it just exists within the world,
like, we don't have to explore it, so it's fine without explanation. But anyway, so they go into a co-ed thing, And she does the whole healing thing. Doesn't work yet again. Oh, well. So after that, there's a really big pause. Isn't the next big thing the lighthouse?
Probably. Hold on. Let me see.
Because guys, during this time,
yeah.
there's a lot of that back and forth that I explained with the Deifolds. And again, during these times, we get these like little tidbits from her life. Like mostly we get her and Xanthi's position at the hospital or, you know, their research facility. Her position, which is basically she does research on the safe systems. She's not really part of the pox thing. The pox thing is crazy. There's like 400 children that have come in and they're mostly street urchins. And it's like weird how it developed so quickly. Like it's abnormal and they don't know what to deal with it. They keep, as we said before, they got the 20 million from him because he's like bribing her. But otherwise they were really hard up for money and nobody, no kings or queens or anybody would give them any money for the thing. So it's been a lot of the stress of that. And then for Osric, it's been mostly you met his war chief Tristan, who's like a French woman and she's scary because she's French, but she's also scary.
Yes. I also, sorry, if you want to keep going, I do want to interrupt with a little bit in that scene specifically, just because there's a couple.
Please do. Go ahead. I was just doing a summary.
Yeah, I want to just, you guys, you listeners, I'm not a prude. I'm fine. I don't care. But like every single character thinks sex is funny. Every single one is making joke. So this Tristan or whatever.
Tristan
is like this like big wig, scariest assassin in the world, and she's laughing at these stupid jokes too. Here we got Pornish pastry, said Tristan, pushing a basket of pastries toward Osric, owing to them being shaped like penises. Leofric brought them in. Of course it was Leofric, Osric said, helping himself to a cock. And then Tristan is like, hey, where have you been lately? You said you were going to be here for this assassin thingy, and like, where were you? And he's like, I don't know, something came up. And she's like,
was it your dick? Because I saw you, or people
quite
saw
literally,
you at
was the thing that came up your penis, is what she said.
Yeah.
So it's just like you guys are just like, I can't take anything. Like I get,
you know what it is too,
plastic assassins, but it's just dumb.
If you can, well, I think the big, a big problem is if you can assume what the next part of the dialogue is going to be based off of how tropey it is.
The author is setting herself up for jokes in the dialogue, and that's what pisses me off. I have so many. I love comedy. I love comedy writing, and it takes skill to write comedically, like comedic banter between characters, where the characters still stay in character and have this back and forth banter. But it only really works for like a believable comedy within like a narrative like this if the characters stay in character and aren't just saying the next part of the joke. It's like knock knock, who's there?
Yes.
Like
yes.
It's just like
I've heard that joke before, so it's like it's not that funny.
Yeah.
You have to do a twist with it, or you have to time it well for it to actually be uniquely funny. So but anyway, as Val was saying, yeah, like, so there's also like a ton of penis jokes. Like that's the first one. There's another one that's going to come up again. Well, there's a couple of them that are going to come up again. No pun intended yet again. But yeah, so Tristan is just like basically I pictured any type of dominatrix position or madame position, and that's her. And she's just like, yeah, you missed oh, wait a second. Okay, before we go past the scene. So Tristan is like, hey, you missed the induction of some of our new recruits or something like that. I really, why did this happen? He says the whole thing. She's like, oh, so you went and got a rub and tug. Okay. Like she literally says that. And which made me feel uncomfortable. I hate that phrase. I hate the word tug. I don't like tug. Oh, I know what it is. For some reason, oh my gosh, what's the famously bad book that we've done? Its name, the one with the Greek stuff. Tobias,
Savior's Champion.
Champion.
There a lot of the humor in this book reminded me of that.
Yes, it did. And there's a scene in the sequel where a Savior's sister or whatever, where it's like the man was tugging viciously at his cock, and I was just like, ugh! So anyway, he's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, okay, so you're getting like a hand job. Not very professional. First of all, I'm like, wait a second. How is he not going to get in trouble for this? in like an assassin organization? Are we just all super lackadaisical about all this?
Yes.
But then the second part is that she's like, okay, I need you to come to the next. Well, I don't know if she says it now. I think she says it in the next meeting they have, because they have a couple little ones. But she's just like, you need to attend this next one. I will expect your attendance. And it's like on the next day or something. And it's framed perfectly for a plot issue, where I thought the next instance was going to be him yet again interrupted by the healing, or yet again interrupted by something that would get him in trouble and put the spotlight on him. But she sets those pins up and then never pulls anything. Like, that's it. It never gets mentioned again. Like, why even bring it up again?
And we should say, in between like all of these like meetings with Osric and Orianne, because they're pretty much just meeting up on the full moon. They're always like, or maybe the full moon and the new moon, but regardless, like, thank God I don't have to see them for another 2 weeks or whatever. Like out of sight, out of mind. I can't stand them, but while also being like, kind of hot though. And it's just so tired. Like, it happens every single time.
Yeah, and the thing that you will notice is that, especially once you get towards the end, there's repeated descriptions of the same exact description using the same word combination.
Like a wild eyes and a blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah, or whatever. And it's like, wow, did she forget she said this? Like, is this like, do they have like amnesia? I don't understand why I'm getting the same exact. And
it's for emphasis, like romantic. It's like
it's
in
not.
The Serpent in the Wings of Night, where he was always like, "There she is." It's that kind of repetitive, like romantic sort of.
But it's even worse in this case. Well, I mean, I don't know. There she is. It's kind of like dumb, but I mean, it could be cute in the right circumstance, but it was not. It was dumb. But this one, it was like, it almost felt like a writing faux pas as opposed to a cheesy gimmick. Like, I was like, did she screw this up? But anyway. I
just want to ask you specifically if you remember the order that happened, because a lot of these blur together, because like we said, it's so repetitive in the way that they banter and like the things that happen. So there's three things. There's the lighthouse thing. There's the hedge witches. Is that the same as the lighthouse? The hedge witch one?
Yes, it's no, it is not.
So
it is
there's
a different one.
Lighthouse one, the hedge witch one, and then they go to see the guy who studied the stones in Netherwallop.
Correct. So along these middle places that they're going, there is this one instance where they go to this area where there are hedge witches. It may or may not have been prior to the lighthouse scene, but I'm pretty sure it was not the lighthouse scene.
It really barely matters the order of operations, quite frankly.
But there are these like silly like critique crickets that happen in this moment. And is that from Harry Potter? Because I feel like it's very hot Harry Potter.
No, but I think I think this would have worked really well in a fan fiction, because it feels very Harry Potter-y. Like like a lot of the little creatures and the little quirks of magic feel very like Harry Potter.
Harry Potter whimsical.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, so they go on this path, and this is where it's revealed to you very briefly that so there are hags in this world.
Hedge witches, as they're called, right?
Oh, hedge witches, my bad. I'm doing the D&D thing. So there are hedge witches, and the hedge witches are part of the dim path, and the dim path is they can choose the bright or the duskin. They choose which one, but basically, think D&D, honestly. Except for D&D, I think they're a little bit more evil. I don't know, not the way I played it, but I don't remember. But the point is, though, during this part, is that you get a brief hint that in the past, Ariane has had a lover or a friend.
I believe. I think she was in love with a hedge witch. And we learned that hedge witches have been horribly subjugated, and like, it's not specific. We don't really learn the details, I don't think.
No, we do not. And all that's known is that she opened her heart to one and was betrayed by that one at some point. And so I don't think it goes into detail on how, right?
Right. And like, Osric has never seen one before, so he was like, and she's like, don't insult it, don't engage. And he was like, I'll just like search the shadows and find it after it scampers off. And she's like, good luck. And he's like, where did it go? I can't find it in the shadows. She's like,
exactly.
And while they're walking up this like they're on a hike, essentially a long hike, and they're getting winded. The critique crickets are like chirping like, you
You pock-faced
crouton,
butthole.
they're just lobbing insults at them. And they're like, ow, ow, that kind of hurts. And they do the like little ritual on top. It doesn't work. But is this the one where they have a little moment, a little romantic moment? Or is that later?
I think that's later.
Okay, you're probably right.
No,
but
wait, this is the scene where she put, this was the scene, I think, where I can't remember if she was behind him or in front of him, but I felt like there was a scene. So as we said before, her cost is that her hands get super chapped and skeletal and gross. And so I was excited for this moment because I think it was this moment, but it could have been later, where she's standing in front rather than behind. And she's doing it. And I'm like, oh, she's going to overdo her safe and he's going to see what awful repercussions there are for her safe. And he's going to be like, oh my God, she suffers so much. I'm sorry. It's just like, it's just expected. And of course, it doesn't actually end up happening in this moment, if I'm remembering it correctly, because it doesn't work and she doesn't have to draw upon it just yet. It ends up happening in the next scene.
Yeah, the romantic moment didn't happen in this one, but it is said that on their way down the mountain, they were bickering so heavily that the crickets had nothing to say because they were being so feisty with each other all on their own. And again, is this the one where the like assassins attack, or is that the lighthouse one? Or not the assassins, the bandits,
barbarians, the bandits.
thugs,
yes. It's at the lighthouse. So the next big thing is that I actually think, if I recall correctly, they go to the man's house first because that's how she knows the lighthouse is such a good place. Yes,
you're right. So their next course of action is to find an old scholar who also studied the old magic, which is sort of what they're trying to do. This what's it called? What stone is it? The something stone?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Regardless, so they go to this guy's house who was a scholar and he dedicated his life to like doing this. And he was like kicked out of university, like decredited.
He's also a philologist, so like a linguist of some sort.
Yes, which I think is like it's implied that that's like an important part of the sort of like old magic things. Hold on, philologist. Yeah,
philologist.
So they find this guy in like a sort of like a quaint little neighborhood. They ask one of the neighbors, "Do you know where Wittershins lives?" They're like, "Oh, he lives down there. He's not there right now, though." They're like, "What do you mean? He's there, but he's not there." They're like, "What do you mean? He's in Pixie Land." I'm like, what's Pixie Land? He is physically there. He is walking and talking. They go into his house, and he is wearing a colander on his head and stomping around in the creek behind his house, tadpoling, as he says.
Yes.
Here, wait, hold on. Let me read a little snippet here. Just a little quirky tidbit for you guys. There's a creek behind the cottage towards which Wittershins was presently wandering, clad in a set of waders. He stripped off his shirt and stepped into the moonlit creek, his colander still on his head. "He hasn't gotten any nipples," noted Osric to Wittershins. He called, "Why haven't you got any nipples? You can't just ask people why they haven't gotten nipples," said Farum. "Lost him in a fire," said Wittershins. He splashed about in the creek. It's a little Mean Girls reference for you guys.
I did really, really, really like that part. It's mostly
it's a little funny.
No, I just like how he's like, "That man doesn't have any nipples. Why ain't you got any nipples?"
And like I said, like I'm reading you guys the cringe stuff, but there's some funny like little moment there. She's a pretty good writer, I think. I think
she's a good writer. I just think this was I think she misedited this.
Yeah, and like she took a lot of the like. I think if she sat down and like honed her comedy a little bit better and spent more time on her character work than the like banter that she has in her own head, I think she could be a really, really good writer because some of it is very well written, and fun.
And then it's also, of course, the comedy of like, like where are all your photographs? Oh, I lost them in the fire. Or where's your child? I lost him in the fire. Where's your dog? I lost him in the fire. Where's your nipples? I lost them in the fire. So it's like it's ridiculous.
And this is a Mean Girls quote, right? Why you can't just ask anyone why they haven't got one?
Yes. Brittany, or it's like something you can't just ask somebody why they're
white because she was from Africa
or something like that. Yeah.
I'm remembering now. Anyway, it's a little funny. They talk to him. He's a little batty. He starts listing off words and their definitions and their etymology, and eventually, like, oh my god, here's another one. Sorry. Osric turned to Farum and said informatively, I'm a cock hair away from murdering this man. I'm not familiar with that unit of measurement, said Wittershins. He too turned to Ferrum. How imminent is my demise? What's the length of a standard cock hair? And I'm just like, okay, all right.
Okay, you know what would have made that funnier is just cut the old man's reply to it. People keep going too far with their rebuttals.
She takes a joke one like or two steps too far every single time, to the point where I'm just like, are we done? Are we done? Is the bit over yet? I feel like she's like, did you guys catch that? Did you guys catch that I'm being funny right now? Did you catch it? Did you catch it?
It's a little too much. But while they're there, Wittershams or whatever, he says, you know what? If you want to go curse yourselves, it's because they're specifically wanting to know what this one little squiggle means there on this stone. And they want his research notes. And he's like, you know what? If you want to go curse yourselves and then go cry yourself a river, go into my shed and go get the thing with the bucket. And so they go into the shed, they get the bucket. In the bucket is a cast of the stone and his, like, I guess notes on it, which I thought was odd. But so they put the cast together because it's broken into pieces because he must have gotten really angry. You get the idea that basically he like didn't kill himself, but like he did something drastic because of the madness that it brought him to pursue all this old magic stuff. And so anyway, they're like, oh, of course, Osric is like, oh, this is poppycock. I mean, it doesn't say poppycock, but there's enough cocks in this that it would fit.
Oh my god.
She is like, no, this is perfect. This is opening up so many avenues for us. Here, let's take it. And so then they go down, they move on past that. And this is like where they finally figure out, oh, okay. There's a location. It is a lighthouse. It is on the edge of the sea and the land. They must go there, but it is quite the hike as they're going. I'm trying to think though, real quick, Val, was there anything on the side? I don't remember. I don't think yet we've received. Oh, yes. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I have something to say about this scene.
Okay, wait. Are we at the lighthouse?
I don't know.
Okay, so because back at Wittershins, just to sort of clarify, like they have like a little more details on this sort of like moon cycle path, and Ferrum, or Orion rather, is like actually this is a lot of information. It kind of seems like it's a sort of pilgrimage of sorts along this like path of moon cycle. Like it seems like it could be like a healing pilgrimage. And Osric is like, I don't know what that means, but cool. And I do have to read, because at the end of this chapter we get that line we were talking about that is repeated multiple times. There was such witchery in a pair of bright eyes.
Oh my god, I know.
Maybe they had to be hers. Let me see how many people have highlighted this. 500 people have highlighted this line. But yes, let's see. Yeah, more with back home with Orion and the healers. We haven't been talking about it much, but like Orion like always goes back and is doing all this healing. Like sometimes she doesn't check the child's name because again, the pox only affects children. She will be like, I don't know if this child is going to live or die. I'm a coward. I'm not going to look at their name because I don't want to think about them after they die. And like this is where like the book, like the weight of the
pretty
stakes,
heavy.
It's like really high, and you're meant to take this seriously after, again, all the stuff I've just read for you guys.
Yeah, and every hospital scene is incredibly hefty. It definitely carries the weight of somebody that I feel like knows the stress of a hospital.
Yeah, sorry, I just found what happens in this scene is specifically kind of weird. Xanthi is like sort of like has sealed a bunch of letters and is like fumbling around in the office, and Orion is like, "Hey, girl, what you doing?" She's like, I'm gonna poison all of the people who are like sending us these children or whatever, like people from Kent or
no, it's the people that are refusing to pay any money but are making a whole bunch of complaints towards us, and she's gonna send them butt warts.
She's gonna send the butt warts as a fire butt warts. She's like, I'm not gonna kill them or poison them. I just put some butt wart stuff in the letters, and that'll teach them. And this woman is 200 years old. Literally. And I'm like, girl, come on.
Yeah,
also,
I know.
You're about to ruin your whole order's like political standing.
Yeah.
For a little butt joke.
The thing is it can't be funny either. It's because even if it really, 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 because like, she didn't want it to be funny enough yet, because Ariane specifically says everything that Val just said and persuades her, and she's like, you're right. I guess I'll just throw them in the fire. It was a good venting experience to write them, at least. And it's like, So are you telling me that if this 30-year-old or whatever person who is your mentee didn't tell you not to send the letters like a child sending or sending like ding dong ditching people,
completely like ruined the credibility of your like whole like house of healers. Like,
I can't take it seriously.
I can't take it
So
seriously.
it's not funny.
And then the pros, despite the seriousness and the emotion of this conversation between them, because they are angry, they have to see children die every day. Like, this sucks. We get Orion didn't often dare contradict Xanthi, but her mentor's anger was leaking dangerously into vengefulness. She took the stack of letters from Xanthi and found that they were directed to kings and queens and variously addressed as "Dear Feckless Idiot" or "Cretin" or "Absolute Invertebrate." And I'm just like quirkiness here just like, it's not like as obnoxious as the other stuff, but it's just like, I'm like, this lady, you're writing to kings and queens to get the buttworts. Like, this isn't how you handle anger over dying children. This is like a child's tantrum. Yeah.
This is what I was talking about before, as far as the issues go, where it comes to also like the expectation of Xanthi's like fall from grace. Like, if it wasn't so, like, she's doing bioterrorism.
She is doing quite literally, and it's mentioned. It is called bioterrorism in the text.
So the whole thing about her and her downfall from grace and everything, bioterrorism. Okay, so lighthouse scene.
I think so. I think it's time for lighthouse scene.
Okay.
I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Yeah. So this is the scene. So we get to this lighthouse scene, but if I recall correctly, he's there on time, but she's not there on time. And she's running late. This irritated me so much, by the way. And tell me if it's just in my head and I overlooked something. Okay, please. But so we haven't really talked about waystones. We haven't really talked about waystones. Basically, there are waystones, and the waystones are, and I think they're going to prove to be a really important plot point because of what's going to come up later. But the waystones follow ley lines, and basically you can use a waystone to transfer yourself from one bar to another bar, or one pub to another pub. It's because the pubs run them. It's like a public service type of thing. And so anyway, they're next to bars, and it's like there's a small little detail too, like if you're not going to get a drink, or if you're not going to go in, to leave some payment or whatever on the windowsill or whatever. It's very old fashioned. It's cute. It's a nice little detail. But so he's waiting for her, and she tumbles out of the waystone, almost in his lap, which I thought was strange. But she has wet hair. She doesn't have her boots on. She doesn't have her coat on. And he's like, "Oh, what's going on? Why do you look like you just got out of the bath?" And she's like, "Because I did just get it out of the bath. I was running late, and I didn't want to miss the full moon." And all I'm thinking is, are you telling me she ran barefoot in her stockings, because it specifically describes her stockings, from Swanstone, her snowy fortress, to the pub? So she ran from there to the pub, past all these wardens, and past all these people that she usually follows, but she's got her wet hair down, she's got her hairstylist in her hand, she's got her coat. Why didn't she just put the coat? It's not like she's walking out of her door from her room. So how is it? Why wouldn't she have the boots on at least?
Yeah, does she have a waystone in her house? Is that
No, she doesn't.
That's
Do you see how irritatingly negligent that is of a detail that's very keen? Like, it's like it makes no. Do I hear a cat?
You do. That's Dazzler has decided it's screaming hour.
That's so cute. She is also very like, have at the author. But anyway, yeah, so it's like really weird. It's because it's like, okay, how did she why it doesn't really naturally make sense for her to come out of the waystone half dressed like that. It's because it's obviously.
Everyone say hi, Dazzler. Are you done screaming? Are you done screaming? She's so pretty.
Freaking love cats.
Next one, Days. Hi. Okay,
you know
okay,
she reminds me of a Halloween cat because she looks like a barn cat. But anyway, so that happens. And so then they go on their merry way, and they have like a little romantic moment where he's like, he saw her wet hair against her lip, and her stocking her stockinged thigh or something while she put her boots on, which is going to come back, by the way. Her stockinged thigh as it gripped her, or maybe that's not at this point. I think that's actually, okay, wait a second. I jumped too soon. That comes up in the lighthouse. But anyway, so they go to the lighthouse. Val, if you would like so. They run
into one bandit on the way up there, I think.
They
run into 3 bandits.
3 bandits. And she's like, don't kill them. And he's like, I'm going to do what I want, bitch. And so he goes up to them and he's just like, taking off my glove. Look at my Tarkin. I'm a badass. And so 2 of them run away. But the one's like, oi, mate, that's probably fake. And then attacks him. And then he just like punches him in the face and knocks him out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll come back to the bandits later. But after that, I think it's a pretty clean hike to the lighthouse, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct. And then they go in. They notice that the bandits had a bandit band. Basically, they had like a whole bunch of beds in there, and they're like, "Uh-oh, we better be careful." And then they go up to the top, and they see the light thing. Now, this scene, Val, I really liked what this scene could have been.
Yeah.
The way I wish she had paused. So she very quickly has this one moment, but the way it's just spoken, and not just spoken, but the way it's written, it feels very gentle. And it's this one part where she's like, he's like, inside or out? And she's like, out. So they're on that like balcony part of, the lighthouse where like, the sea and everything. Mm-hmm. And she's looking, they're both looking for the handle, and they find it on a glass door. And maybe it's just the writer in me and the romantic in me, but I was like, how like soft and gentle could this scene have been if it was like it went into the dust on the glass and their hands brushing, and then maybe they both found it at the same time. And like, you don't have to do it like cheesy like that where you have them both touch it, but like that intimacy of the closeness and the glass and like this stuffy little, like, it's very romantic scene.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I'm listening. I'm just like looking at it. Yeah. But and like there's an interesting kind of habit this author has, and like the sort of rhythm of her prose, where like she goes from these banter moments, but then she will I guess to sort of denote the passage of time, or to like denote like the seriousness of the moment, will pull back and give these sort of, they are beautiful sometimes, descriptions of like the scenery, the sky and the moon.
She's got to work on it,
sort
though.
of like pulls back. But it's not, the issue is that it's separate kind of from the like emotional intimacy of the characters. Yeah.
I know exactly what it is, I think. It's because this is what my overall issue with this description thing is. She does a really amazing job at zooming out and making a summative, beautiful description of something where it's like conceptually like vague, but you get the vibe, and the vibe really saturates you and you feel really good in those moments. But it's also very melodramatic and in these cases romantic or romanticized. So it's very pretty descriptions, but she doesn't seemingly know how to slow down a moment and go into the details of the scene of that moment to provide the intimacy that she creates with those bigger zoom outs.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like all of the intimacy between the characters and the quiet moments is this physical spark. It's just like a pure kind of vibes only physical spark between the characters.
No small details.
And there's no like a specificity sort of to the like why they are experiencing feeling this moment, aside from the scene was really beautiful. They were on this lighthouse looking out at this gorgeous scene, and the moon and the birds were fluttering, and like their breaths caught. And I'm like, it's all very physical, and it's just like, it's almost beautiful. And like, if you're not like digging into it, it's like, oh, this feels like kind of a breathtaking moment. But like, it's just like not quite enough. And she puts these like kind of flowery, like lovely little descriptions in between moments of banter where she's like, ha 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 ha. And it's just a weird sort of juxtaposition.
You're getting jerked like, back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the fun kind. So there's actually this next scene where, so this is the thigh scene. And what happens is, and I really like the environmental nature of this scene. I really like this scene, and she missed it somehow. She almost made it, and she missed it because of the specificity, like Val said, of the details. Because in this scene, right, the wind is blurring everything. They're all blustery. Blustery is the word I'm looking for. It was very blustery. Her dress kind of like, her hair, and he sees her thigh, and I wanted to like this part because we have not had a lot of like physical attraction scenes just yet.
Yeah.
Or intimate ones anyway, that like push the envelope past eyes or something. And he sees her thigh and the garter, and instead
I can read it, actually. I found it here if you want.
Okay, can you read it first, and then can I provide my, because it matters on word choice.
Mm-hmm. A fresh eddy whipped at them as though delivering a smack. Ferrum's heavy skirts gusted up past her knees. Osric, seeing a flash of white stockings and, above those, a black garter, learned that Ferrum wore her garters in the new fashion, at the thigh. A nice, shaped thigh, round, with delicious little indentation where the garter pressed into soft skin. What might have been interesting to look at if Osric had a thing for garters, which he didn't, and if he thought Ferrum remotely attractive, which he also didn't. So he told himself with great confidence, suppressing any memory of darkly brilliant eyes and a curl of hair across a damp lip. Like, it's...
All of that should have been removed. All of that ruins this moment because we've already been told time and time again.
We know that he's not attracted to her because, like, blah, blah, blah.
Whatever.
Just tell us that he was looking at her thigh. That's enough.
Yes. This moment would have been so much more impactful if you went up to that garter description and the new style, and then you just said, Osric slid his eyes towards the sunset as she fixed her skirts.
Yeah, and then you can go into the next, because there's like a bunch of there's like other pretty stuff. You could say he noticed her thigh in the garter, that it was in the new style, and then you could blah, blah,
just
blah, blah,
leave
blah.
it.
And then like later, like with the dizzy and din, the colony, thousands, hundreds of thousands of birds billowed towards the lighthouse in a single seething entity. Osric took a step back, as did Ferrum. The light flashed again. They saw their own silhouettes flicker against the advancing wall of birds. The beat of wings, hearts without number, churned the air until it thrummed. Thrum went through Osric, filled him, reverberated in his bones. Like there's a lot of kind of, like, you can tilt the attention from the thigh to the big picture, and that tells us more than explaining to us in the prose. Exactly.
It does. It does. And then also during this bird scene, which this is their moment. This is the moment where something abnormal happens. And I did like this play on language because at the very beginning of the book, they have like the Old English versus the translation to like more contemporary words and such, or what words she's using in this world and what they mean. And so what we learn is that part of this stone said something, alluded to some black cloud thing. And they were like, well, it's a clear sky. Well, this black cloud of these crows or birds is literally translated from the old tongue to a black cloud or something like that. So they were like, oh, and that was really fun. But it comes and you get this really cool scene like she just described. And the scene itself is like the flow and the motion of it feels good. But there's this moment where it's described that they see like this in-between space. And I don't think that was done well. It doesn't feel as terrifying as it should, or wondrous as it should. It feels too quick, which not literally in time quick, but too quick on the way that or maybe it's not too quick, but it feels that way. I don't know.
Yeah, and she does an okay job at it sometimes, but like you get the sense she's really going for this sort of like the gasp of standing at the end of a cliff, like the gasp of like, oh, this insane, like beautiful moment that feels like
otherworldly,
like that completely sort of jostles you at the core.
She could have worked better to make that switch. I know what it is. With what she was attempting to describe, where we have this very set in stone world of how things work versus this in between where rules are broken, I don't think she explored the narrative enough in this moment to create that kind of like, Southern Reach trilogy vibe of like weirdness and like interdimensional, like not horror. It doesn't have to be horror, but just like wonder.
And, I kind of wish, because we're going to go into it more, but like, because it's very obvious that she's going for this sort of like emotionality of in-between.
Yeah.
I wish there was more exploration of that instead, like throughout all of this, like physical places of in between. Like I would have liked like one or two more like sort of emotional in betweens, like that sort of hinted at it. Because like it's just a little ham-fisted in the prose later.
Well, not just that. Also, their relationship, guys, doesn't develop almost at all until this exact point, which is about halfway through the book.
They have like little gaspy moments like nearby, and they're like, "Well, let's go home, I guess." That didn't happen.
Yeah, so it hasn't really gotten past the point of like Barbie rebuttals. So when we get to this point and there's like more, and after this moment of in between, she does the healing thing. She's gone through all of her safe, so her hands are chapped, and he sees it for the first time. And I really liked this part where he like it was intimate and it was romantic, and I liked the intimacy of the moment. Basically, she rests on his shoulder while like waiting for her safe to come back. Then the tide has come in.
She used her cost right, and she started bleeding, and she was like, "Not all costs are beautiful." Like, you see, like
yeah. And they wait, and then they end up having like a kitchen scene. What did I write about this kitchen scene? This kitchen scene was so dumb, but I liked the dialogue in it. Let's see, like and not like the bird scene. What is the? That's what we just talked about. Mm-hmm. I hate the repeat of I'm reading my notes. Sorry, I'm just catching up. I hate the repeat of handsome. It breaks the rhythm of the moment. So it keeps saying how handsome he is, and I'm like, please stop.
The characters
I don't need to know how handsome he is.
Continuously describe each other's beautifulness, and it's like it's a little funny, like sometimes with like because Osric being this sort of like flamboyant little like pretty boy that he is, like he's like, she's pretty but not beautiful. I'm weak for beautiful women, but she's not beautiful, so it's okay. She's just pretty. She's on the cusp of pretty.
It's very
really.
middle school
and
boy again. It's just like, come on, he's a little bit more developed than this. And, hopefully
this happened earlier, but I need you guys to look at this and see. So the pink text, this is the pubic hair joke. It starts here and then it goes on.
Did we already get to that scene? Yeah, we did.
It has passed. But
yeah,
like, it keeps
Can
going.
we wait? No, Valerie. Valerie, why don't you read a part of it? Because guys, there is this one side character that constantly.
Leofric,
Yeah, and he comes in twice, no pun intended, with his character. But one scene, we've passed by it. It's a scene where he like got his nipple ripped off. It's fine. It's not important. And then we get this scene. And of course, remember, he's the one that made the penis pasties.
Yeah, and it should be noted, he's not even the one. The other guy who we said who didn't have nipples, this is a different nipple removal situation.
Another nipple,
separate one.
Completely unrelated.
So he is in Orion's... Osric shows up at Orion's place because he's like, hey, I need you for something. But Leofric is there because he's like tricked his way into the Halen place to get treated because he's drunk and concerned about his balls. So you know what? I'm gonna read this.
No.
Is this not the one you're talking about?
No, this is. Is this not at Osric's mansion though? Because remember all the dogs, and the dogs greet him when he comes in.
You might be right.
And she hides in a closet and then laughs.
Regardless, let me just read this to you.
Point is, so we have the scene. She's supposed to be healing him. He's like, oh no, there's somebody coming, and shoves her in a closet or something and hides her stuff. And then his friend comes in, and here we go.
I need to show you something because I trust you, said Leofric. What is it? Said Mordaunt. Or asked Mordaunt. You're absolutely right, Katie. That is the
okay, I was just like, I don't know. God, did he make it into the Halen place?
No. The nipple one was the previous one, I think.
Yeah.
This is
that was at a nipple clinic. It was at a nipple clinic for nipples that had been removed. Do you remember? That was specifically the place.
You guys, we're giving you a real taste of this book right now. Sit down with me. Sit down. Come close. All right, I need to show you something because I trust you, said Leofric. What is it? Asked Mordaunt. Orion didn't know what she had expected Leofric to show Mordaunt, but it certainly hadn't involved the removal of his trousers and underthings. The same went for Mordaunt. What are you doing? Have you got one ball that hangs lower than the other? Asked Leofric, pointing at the testicle in question. Put your trousers back up, you great oaf. Blah, 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 blah. What do you think I should do? Should I get it looked at? I don't know. Slap it, maybe. Pinch it? Might retract it? You need to leave. Leofric grew philosophical. Do you know, I don't think my pubes are curly enough. What do you think? Be honest. Mordaunt went out of the blah, 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 blah. Mordaunt asked him to leave. Why? what are you doing that's so important? Why are you half naked anyways? Because he was about to get inspected by Orion. Mordaunt says, none of your business. About to play with your balls then, huh? Let me tell you a thing about that. Don't let your fingers get caught in your pubes. It just keeps
It's not
going.
good.
It just keeps
it's just
going
like
for so
rambling.
long. And like I get that he's drunk and he's like trying to get his best friend out of here, but it's just like
this was my least liked character. I thought he was the most
he was just there to be like the sex joke guy. And
then like
Orion
so
hiding
useless.
in the closet is like trying to stifle a laugh because
her
she thinks
laughter
this is so funny. And I'm like, you think
that
Little
was
Miss
funny?
Serious? That was funny too. Little Miss Serious over here, Little Miss Science Brain. This was
so out of character. It was so out of character.
At the very least, up to this point, like she had been like unamused by like stupid stuff like this, and now she's like, hee, that's so funny.
What would have been funny is if they had something like the internet or Google or something like that, and he was just like, I Googled what was wrong with me and it said I had the something. And he's like, I must. And then that could be funny to her. It's because like, you know, like maybe that's only something women get and it's not even having to do with your balls. Like I can see some stupid thing like that happening, but none of this makes any sense for her to find amusement. If anything, she should be irritated because she's like, I'm wasting my time and my effort on you. And you're having friends come over to talk about their balls and pubic hair.
And once again, I'm beating the nail over the head over this point, but like another just stupid line of dialogue. Like now it's just Osric and Orion talking. Orion says, there's an obscure annal from Fortiu focusing on instances of, I'm sorry, what's funny? Aren't most instances of anal obscure? Annal, not anal. One is a written record. The other has to do with the anus. Both can be obscure then, said Mordaunt. Yes. Bit darkish in there. Orion gave the Fearin a long look. He certainly giggled a lot about anuses for a thing that had crawled out of one. Are you guys tired? I'm tired. I'm tired.
Let me take a quick break. I gotta run to the restroom, and then we'll finish our part 2. Jesus Christ! I'm also gonna grab more olives.
All right.
Okay. The next big thing is the bandit fight scene.
The bandit fight scene, yes. Take
which is the worst fight scene I've ever had.
So bad.
The unfortunate luck to witness. Or actually, I didn't witness it. To listen to, I suppose. Okay, so basically what happens is they go to leave the lighthouse. They've had their night. They've had a romantic interlude. They're on their way back. And as they're on their way back to the Waystone in the town, lo and behold, what is there but 40 bandits and bandit leader, and so on and so forth. And there's some pretty weak dialogue during this moment between the two of them. In fact, there's this one part, God, the scene was so bad. It was like particularly bad in this whole book.
The purpose was to show that he can kill really cool, but in a gentlemanly way, because these guys needed to die.
Yeah, but it was really like, so the order of it was very strange. So there's this like weird moment at the beginning of the fight scene where it becomes, I think, but I would have to read it. It becomes slightly third person omniscient for a brief moment instead of limited. Mm-hmm. And Arian, because it's from Arian's perspective, she knows, like she presumes that the bandits had assumed that because there was a Fearin or whatever, aka Osric, that she was a lady of importance and that she must have something good on her or something like that. And she assumes this before the fight begins, and then, or not before the fight, well, before any interaction begins. And then they start, like, because at first I was like, well, how does she know that? That's pretty omniscient of her to, like, be able to presume that. Did she, like, deduce this? And if so, where's the deduction coming from? Because it just gets told to you. Yeah. And then it starts the and so I wrote down, omniscient and bandit fight scene, could have taken the chance to characterize the bandits. Then I put an M dash because then it starts trying to. And bandits themselves at one point argue then they're after that observation, after they have a couple other dialogue moments. They're like, oh, she must have something important. We want it from her. That's why we've come back to be this way with you. And it's like, why did the author tell us this before the bandits told us this? That doesn't, like, it's actually a writing faux pas, I think. And then
maybe she was just trying to insinuate that Orianne was really smart, so she figured it out before
I don't
they said that,
I don't even think that's the case. It just literally feels like a faux pas because of the way it's like. Because I'm like, oh, then she's not going to explain it through dialogue. But then she explained it through dialogue, and I was like, what the heck? I said, rewrite the description. Oh, I said, it didn't feel like there were 40 bandits also for a big fight scene. Like, there were no slowdowns of the descriptions of all the different men there. So it didn't really feel like there were a whole 40. Like, it didn't describe how packed the streets were or whatever with their bodies, or how the smell of, like, banditness was in the air or anything like that. So it didn't really feel like a high stakes moment or a stakes at all moment. And then I was like, I know this is probably I wrote down, I know this is probably supposed to be a comedic relief scene, but it seems insincere. It's because we get it from Arianne's perspective. And from Arianne's perspective, the way it's described is absurd. It's because Osric is just like, I'm so badass, I can just do the thing. And he does the thing. Whereas if we had gotten Osric's perspective of this on a slightly more serious narrative, we could have actually better explored his powers and skills in this moment, because I still don't know what his powers or skills are, other than the fact that
they did a poor job of describing it. And then, like, around this point in the book, we start to understand kind of that he can jump through shadows. And that's, I mean, I'm sure it was explained earlier, but it just wasn't really shown to us enough for it to, like, stick in our brain. The issue with this book is that it, if you don't mind a tiny off soapbox, is that it expects you to read the sort of like glossary of terms and definitions at the very beginning, and it does a piss poor job of actually explaining it at the right time within the prose. So, like, a lot of this book I spent, like, not really understanding the magic system and the details of it, and then it springs stuff like this on you, and you're like, oh, okay, would have been nice to know this earlier. It does part of writing is knowing how to intersperse exposition in a way that matters. And this author just doesn't. She says, these are the glossary of terms that you need to know. Reference them if you need to. I'm just going to write my story. And that can work, I guess. But, like, it feels lazy.
It is lazy. That's because it literally is. That's laziness. Mm-hmm. To anytime, I mean, I think Will and I have probably spoken on this before. In like one of the other books we did, but any book that relies upon a glossary to do the telling of their story is laziness.
You can have it there as a point of reference, but you still have to do the work. It's not I don't know. It's bad. So it's a weird scene. And again, I'm going to take this point to say, you only listened to this, right? You didn't read it physically.
Correct.
This author does this thing where, you know how, I don't know, we're both like the millennial-ish people who have been online. Yes. You know how people will sort of like do like a TM after a word to sort of emphasize it, like an uppercase, like he was very bad, like a trademark symbol. She does that by just capitalizing random words throughout this, and it's like, it's just really weird. Like, it'll be like, so here's in this scene, then there were rallying shouts, how the lady was worth millions. And this was capital only one man, capital only, capital one, capital man. And then later on the same page, he was indeed very good at what he did, talking about Osric. The next sentence, problem with that was what he did was very bad, capital V, capital B, very bad. Like, it's just, she does this so much to emphasize he was very bad, and he needed a capital E explanation.
Look, I think,
like...
So this is starting to really make more and more sense to me.
The fanfic side of things, perhaps?
Not just, well, yes, for sure. But more so, she doesn't know what approach to take. She's straddling a line between a serious novel and something that's making critique on certain things. And the thing is she didn't do any of the legwork to do the critique on things. She's just banking off pure, like, hoping for magneticism through the characters and through the humor that she generates. But those types of techniques, formatting, whatever, that I could see working really well in, say, and again, this brings to mind Nimona. Like, it's very stylized and it's very specific, and it's more about not the characters per se, although it does have a lot of character stuff. It's the message and the theme behind it. And so she, like, I feel like when you prioritize the theme and stuff like that, you can get away with stylized things you decide to do, because if it all goes towards that theme, then it has a purpose. But if you don't have a purpose for it, which doesn't seem like she has a purpose for it, then I don't see why she did it. And so it seems useless. Does that make sense?
It does to me. And again, I just to, before we move on from this 40 bandits dead scene, I read this and I'm like, this man's like fingers and arm are numb. Like, he has no feeling in his arm. And I'm like, I understand that he has magic that he is using to do this thing, and like, but like, this would severely impact him, and we're not in his perspective, so maybe it did, but I don't think so. You know what? I'm tired. I am tired of this sort of disability representation just being used as like puppet strings to get through the plot for certain dramas and not actually affecting the characters. It's exhausting. I'm so tired of it.
It is. It's exhausting, like a numb appendage that was in your way and you didn't know how to use because you couldn't feel it might be. No, this is a great example of a moment where, again, I wrote this scene should have been from his perspective. There are a couple of scenes where I was like, oh, this should have had the opposite perspective during this moment. But anyway, so obviously he defeats them. There are no repercussions for this, by the way. This never comes up again. We just move on right past it, sliding by.
Next time they meet, it's at a place called, you guessed it, guys, the Moist Oyster, which is a place to treat pubic lice. Surprise, everyone. Are you noticing a theme in the places that we go to now? Who designed these cities? Who is owning these businesses?
This is the bar, correct?
No, this place treats pubic rice, but pubic rice. Jesus Christ.
Pubic rice. I thought you, for a second, I thought you said it was known. Wait, the Moist Oyster is a place?
Moist Oyster is a place that they go. I don't think we have to linger on it. I don't think they stay there I don't think anything interesting happens here.
I don't even remember that part, man.
The bunghole is the place that you're thinking of. The bunghole. Yes,
I'm thinking of the bar where they're doing reconnaissance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, called the bunghole.
Yes. So shall we go to that scene next? I don't know.
Let's go to that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what happens is they find out that there's somebody. Okay, so we didn't get into this, but so at some point during this the interludes, there is an assassin team or whatever that's sent into Swanstone. Her, if you remember, this is the place of her work, where she lives too.
Significantly earlier in the plot, yeah.
Yeah, and they were meant to do something, but she's not sure what, and they were really well kitted out, and they seem to, like have a purpose, but they're not sure who sent them and for why. And so she would like to know why they were sent. It's because she would like to protect her homeland vibe type of thing. And so she asks him to look into it in exchange. This is a while ago. Yeah, it was. She asks him to look into it in exchange for clearing basically what is a blood clot in him, but it's like a magic clot, and so he's unable. This is forever ago. This is when we were talking about the guy with the pubic hair stuff. It was during that scene where she's like, I need you to look into who broke into this. So he's looking into it, and he's like, okay, so I found some information. This one guy has it. He's going to be at the bunghole. And she's like, okay. And this seemed so out of character, by the way, to me. She was like, let me come with and let me do the reconnaissance with you. She is at never, granted, she's never asked for him to do information gathering, but it didn't seem like prior to this moment, she was really like, I need to know, chomping at the bit. If somebody was hurt, or something, that would make more sense to me. And she wanted to figure out who hurt them and to protect them in the future.
It doesn't really make sense that she is in this scene, aside from the fact that the author wanted to do her little tropey interaction thing.
Correct. Exactly that. And so what ends up happening is that he's like, no, you can't go, boohoo. And he goes to the bunghole, and you have a ton of just dirty jokes thrown at you left and right. All the like literally, if you have played Dispatch, the scene in there, which I'm pretty sure that the name of the bar is called the something clam or something like that. I don't know. But all the seedy characters in there are very caricature-y, very cartoony. And he's sitting there, and then lo and behold, I guess the local...
These two banging babes, one of them in blue, one of them in red. And hold on, let me just do a little dramatic.
Yeah, just do the description of the scene. And then after this, don't let me forget to talk about the throuple thing.
Oh yeah, I still didn't catch that, so you'll have to let me know.
I don't think it's a real throuple. I think it's a slight, like she's their pet.
Okay, hold on. Coming back, circling back to what we're talking about. In walk two gorgeous banging women. One of them's got big old titties. She's in red. The other one has banging thighs. She's in blue. Let me just read this for you. The red one's dress consisted largely of scarlet fishnet. In a nod to decency, she had covered her nipples in heart-shaped pasties. The blue one was tall, smaller around the bust, but rounder on the hips, wearing boots to the thigh, and the shortest of skirts, at the back of which was the lettering, "Make it bounce." The woman stopped to chat with Madame Miffle, who was who was ensconced in her wheelchair near the door. Oh, someone elbowed Aldrich. Red Girl's Saris. Isn't she a beauty? Seen a couple of her films at the cinema with an S. One Tooth's pointed breath, blah, 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 blah. And then we learned that the girl in red has been in a couple of movies called Death by a Thousand Sluts and Big Tits 4, which is actually kind of funny. I do think
Big Tits 4 is pretty funny.
Yeah, and we also learned that she's nicknamed her breasts Thoughts and Prayers. Which
that was really funny.
It's a little funny. Big Tits 4 was funny. I'll give her that. But then the new girl stood behind Sarah's, blah, 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 blah. And then it all clicked into place, and Osric realized who he was looking at. Turns out the girl with the shorts, the booty shorts that say "Make it bounce," is in fact our girl, Oriane, everyone. And let me tell you, for this, the vibes of this place being vaguely Victorian gas lamp fantasy, and these just with modern make it bounce like club outfits. I'm just like, the world building is for this author's scenes and scene alone.
I was thinking One Piece the whole time. I was literally picturing One Piece.
It's kind of giving One Piece. It is giving One Piece.
Is it not?
Yeah.
Like,
we arrive at a new island, and everyone is dressed.
Yeah, but there's some people that have pants that say "Make it bounce," because they're from someplace else, I guess. I don't know. But the point is she comes in. We have the whole scene where it's like, "Oh, you're sexier than I thought you were because you're wearing sexy clothing, and you never wear sexy clothing." Thing, and
she's undercover, pretending to be a new girl at the bar, like a girl for sex work, essentially. And our boy, I believe Scrope is at this bar. Scrope, who is the guy who's on the
that left his ropes
back at the baths, who was the supposed bath jizzer, and he's here now, and he's like, I gotta have this new girl. Like, come on, Madame Miffle, give me your new girl. She's like, my new girl is not to be touched.
Mind you, Scrope is the one that has the information. So this is what Osric figures out, and he's like, well, he doesn't know it's Scrope yet. But it's like he has a tattoo that says "choke on this," and it's like a arrow from his belly into his groin, whatever. It's like, what is this tattoo stuff? Anyway, so she comes in. He's like, in the bathroom, what are you doing? Like, at one point after she's been groped a couple times, what are you doing here? Like, bruh, like, I'm doing my job. Why are you doing this? And she's like, I have it under control. And he's like, you obviously don't. You're like vomiting into the sink from like him touching you. And she says, well, let me like see this out. And you know what I do like about the scene is actually, she doesn't say this. He's like, fine. See if you can get the information from him. And if you can't in the next whatever, he says, and he gives her explicit directions. He's like, then it's my turn and my idea. And I'm just like, I like that he's giving her agency in this moment. Like, I did like that. I liked that he was like, fine, you try your way. And if you fail, then you're going to see that my way's better. But in the end, she gets the information from him and they saunter off. And of course, on the way out, Scrope didn't want to leave her be. And so without her realizing it, after him stalking after her, our boy Osric goes over and stabs him a million times with a fork to death. And he dies.
Yeah, wait, he doesn't even. I thought for some reason I thought he maybe just cut off his hand or something. It was
No.
He actually kills him.
No, he expires at one point. It's like, and then with his last breaths, he died. Then I was like, oh, okay.
But it's okay because it was a sex offender. Everybody.
I mean,
yeah, 20 times stabbed.
Yeah, something like that. It was something absurd. And so anyway, it was earlier in the book notated via a discussion they had with each other that she has connections with the underworld mostly through like medical necessity. So specifically, she's not unknown to the world of the Duskin Path, or if
relations with this bar specifically, I think, because she was like doing like STI stuff, like for the prostitutes. Yeah,
because she was giving out contraception and protection and stuff like that.
Which is interesting. Like, I like, you know,
I love that little bit. Like that makes total. It actually reminds
me. Like
it does. It reminds me of my grandma. My grandma, when she worked at her nursing clinic, down in Broward County in Florida, which is well known for a lot of things. Including shootings, but she told me once that she had some Northern European women come through her clinic time and time again that didn't know how to really speak English, and she did their allergy work and stuff like that, but through certain conversations and stuff, she learned that they were being human trafficked, and so she ended up she got involved with like a police case and everything with my uncle, who was a police dude, and stuff like that. But the point is like medical professionals, like we've seen it in some media, end up coming across victims of certain things, and so I like that it's shown this way, and that it's. Like, I think
it was a really interesting, and like it was an interesting way to explore like her connection to the side of the world from a different perspective. I liked it. I thought it was a cool little detail. Weird scene in a lot of ways, but
otherwise cool. And then after this, let's see if I can recall correctly. After this, that's when they go to the dude's house, the Lord
yeah, that's
guy.
what I'm thinking. Like a couple other things happened, but I think the most important next thing that happens is, God, what was his name? It starts with a W.
I don't know, something silly.
Essentially, a lord reached out to Orion. He's like, my daughter is deathly ill. I need your help. And I don't remember exactly why she agrees, or if there's
No. She agrees because they had him suspected. So there's this whole big part where it's established that the information that they need is at this one guy's place because it's the one guy, and but there's like a whole bunch of warden people there or whatever, or he has like a whole bunch of not warden people, high tech stuff that like is getting rid of all the lights so no assassins can come around, specifically his type of people who can go through shadows. So he has like massive protection, so there's like no way they can sneak onto the premises. And then there's another location where the healing that they need to do next, which is taking a backseat in the narrative. The healing they're going to do next is at another location, but she refuses to sneak in and ruin any connection. Like, it's at like a druid place, and he did something bad, and so they hate him. And so she's like, well, I don't want to, get bad blood between us. And so they first decide.
Wellesley is his name. Sorry, Wellesley is the name. Wellesley Keep is where we're going next.
Gotcha. And so anyway, Xanthi's like, no, bring him, go, do the thing. And so because she keeps instigating all these things, I think like I felt like she was going to become a villain at some point. But anyway, we'll see.
I'm curious about the second book, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So anyway, they go to this Lord dude's place, and Osric poses as her Swanstone guard, which she always has, usually. And she is her. And she's there
wearing like a knight helmet or whatever. He's basically like in full like
kitted out
shining armor, like gear, like clank, clank, clank.
Yes.
And it should be said that I think
Xanthi.
Kath or Xanthi, yeah, you're right, it was Xanthi. She
Creates
like
a patch.
stitched another palm on top of his palm so that his Talkin or whatever the fuck
Tarkin,
it's called. Yeah, there's no R, but it is pronounced
Talkin.
Talkin. His symbol, the symbol on his palm is invisible, so no one will know that he is, Mr. Shadows, Mr. Fearin or whatever they're called. So she shows up at the door of this guy's place and is like, "Hey, I'm ready to see your daughter. This is my guard." And she's like, "This is my palm. This is my sigil." And he's like, "Great." And she's like, "You understand? We have to have our wards for my protection." He's like, "Excellent." She's like, "Would you like to see his palm just in case?" He's like, "I wasn't going to ask, but certainly that would be good." So it's like, fantastic. You guys come in. These are your rooms. They're like, "Oh, excuse me, I thought I was looking at his daughter." And they're like, "No, the king or whatever the fuck is tired, actually, and he wants to meet you tomorrow instead. So you guys are gonna have to just stay the night." So she gets a lovely little bed, and Mr. Knight gets like a little hay bed,
a straw cot on
the floor, and he's like, "Upon my word, what is this?" Like,
I know. So okay. So real quick, because this is a good point, because otherwise I'm never going to bring it up. I wanted him to be more foppish in his personality.
And look, here, you have read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies.
Yes.
Right? You and Maria read that. And
yes.
And on the Goodreads,
upon your word,
on the Goodreads for this book, for this book that we're reading, it is described as for fans of Emily Wilde. And I was like, you know what? I fucking loved Emily Wilde, and this is like, I see why you're making this comparison, but it's so much worse. It's so much worse.
It doesn't work. His personality.
He's not polished enough. He's too like in his own stupid little head, and he doesn't.
Correct.
The things he says are funny for the scene, not funny because it comes
from
him. Yeah. And like,
so any personality you get from him is hyper contrived, and what little seeps through in certain moments, you see it, you realize what she wanted, but you know she didn't get there. And it's really irritating because that happens for I was about to say Wendelby. Shame. That happens for Ariane too. Like, it's the same issue. Again, my supposition is that earlier in the book, when they're doing the back and forth stuff, they should have explored their characters significantly more in other varied circumstances, because they are already there. The circumstances are already there, but they're never explained beyond when the not Damon, the
Deafold.
It only, like, every time the messenger comes through, the Deafold comes through, that's when we're interrupting a scene. We should have been provided the scene earlier on to get more of their character, and then have the fun of the new. And the Deafolds, by the way, we haven't gone into this. The Deafolds have their own, like, personalities.
They're a little bit fun, but they're little more than cell phones with personalities. They're just cell phones with some quirks.
They are, and it's not explored enough to be an interesting concept other than just a fun trope. But when it's used, it could have been used more efficiently as a way to interrupt the norm of the character's life and have the new character interrupt, and to see how that adjusts
We're
their
going to talk to that when we get to the opera scene later, but first we should get to this.
Go ahead.
But like, and like, oh God, wait, there was something else I was just finishing up that. Like, Emily Wilde has the same sort of character dynamic, right? With the sort of like smart, nerdy girl who's deep in like the scholarly pursuits, and the sort of foppish guy who is like skilled, but like ultimately kind of like a lovable dumbass. Like, that's what she was clearly trying to do here. And it just doesn't
hit
work, because she doesn't have the chops of the character work, and she hasn't really set up this interesting dynamic with them, because they're just banter machines, and that's it. Like,
correct.
Like, and we're barely talking. It's still so funny to me that you completely didn't know that this was a Hermione fic. But like, I want to say now, I think it would have been so interesting if they knew each other before this whole book started, the same way that Emily and Wendelby did in Emily Wilde's or whatever. Because having that sort of backdrop of, we knew each other, you baby bullied me, maybe we have this history, would have added something, or at least given a grounding, like a tether to
a realistic
kind of a realistic
that could have been built from.
Whereas you guys are just enemies because you're enemies in your house. That's way less interesting than you having a history with some baggage, even if you don't explore it directly we can pick it up. We can pick it up like we did in Emily Wilde. Anyway, that's my digression.
No, that's fair. No, I fully agree. Anyway, they go to this Lord dude's place. They find out the little girl's perfectly fine. She's skipping and running down the hall, so the little girl's not sick. They go and speak with, what'd you say, Wellesley?
Wellesley, I think.
Whatever. The guy, and he's like, hey, you.
Oh, but before we get to that part, first, so they see the girl skipping down the hall, like, oh, she looks awfully healthy. They go to bed because they're going to meet with him the next day. Our boy Osric is like, I'm going to take off this and I'm going to be a little shadow boy around the grounds. I'm gonna scout it out. He doesn't find anything, but he steals 2 bottles of scotch from like the basement.
Oh, I forgot about this part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, you can't steal. That's bad. And he's like, too bad. The scotch that they gave us earlier was really good. I want them. I took it. I'm a bad boy. I'm a charming rogue. What are you gonna do? And she's like, you're so evil for stealing. I'm so angry.
I guess I'll just have to be okay with it.
And then they go to bed. They wake up, and then
yeah. And then we have the scene where Mr. Wellesley or whatever is just like, hey, you, lady from the Halen place, who donated the 20 mil? I need to know. And she's like, oh, I mean,
it was an anonymous donation. I'm afraid we don't know. And he's like, no, but who do I talk to find out who this wink, wink anonymous donor was? And she's like, I'm afraid it was an anonymous donation. They go back and forth for way too long.
For a hot second. And then she goes to leave, and of course she won't leave. So then, of course.
And he's like, I need to know. You don't get it. Just tell me. Just drop me a name. Let me know who to pester. I need to know. And meanwhile, our night boy with his little helmet back on is just sort of like leaning against the back wall, Osric. And so she goes to leave, and he's like, guards, come in. Like, attack these. Guards. And we should say that this whole room is set up with a shit ton of like lights in every corner, specifically so that Fearon, who are the assassin people who can dance through shadows, cannot attack in this room. So the whole room, there's almost no shadows in this room at all. That was explained to us. So the doors open, the guards rush in, and our boys, like, they think there's no shadows, but there are shadows in one place. Inside their bodies. So he shadow jumps inside of the night attackers' bodies and kills them from inside.
I'm gonna pause real quick.
Mm-hmm. Please.
First of all, incredibly OP. No, sir, you're not allowed to be able to do that.
That's a bit much. That's a bit much.
His cost is one eye after this, by the way, because later on it's like, and then he walked away with his one eye closed and nobody noticed. And it's like, just one eye is the cost for that level of power? Because I'm sorry, we literally just earlier discussed how the shadow stuff and other things, like, not everybody can do all this cool shit. And Tristan is like the devil, the demon, the killer. And so if he can jump inside people's bodies and jump outside them and just make them explode in viscera, what can she do? Like, he already seems...
explained. We don't see her in action at any point, but he's scared of her. People are scared of this woman.
What's scarier
scarier than having someone jump into the shadows inside of your like chest cavity and explode you from inside out? What's scarier?
There's nothing.
I mean, maybe there is, and I'm curious to see. I don't know.
mean, I guess maybe conjuring a black hole. I don't know, but it just seems a little bit OP. So anyway, he annihilates them all, and they walk away.
And again, his magic is draining. He is in a state of like
he's not weakened ever.
He's never weakened because of this. Anyway, so he does that, and then our girl Orion is like, hey man, like to Mr. King, Mr. Wellesley or whatever the fuck.
Whatever.
And she's like, I'm gonna leave. You've seen this or you haven't. And he's like, nah, and she doesn't let Osric kill him. Does she just push him or something? Regardless, no, he holds a knife to her throat.
She pinches his carotid artery to make him pass out.
Thank you. Yes, that's it.
The ground. His brain
explodes. He falls down and his brain explodes.
So he's dead.
The right angle to make his brain. You guys, I have fallen down so many times in my life. I can't
But are
express to you
an
how
old,
many times.
decrepit man? You are not.
But I don't think your brain explodes when your head hits like
I
the
mean,
ground.
I don't know. I mean, the way it was described, a little on the side of over dramatic, but mayhaps he could have had a concussion that killed him. Anyway, point being, they walk away. They're like, "Oh, good, nobody will know it was us."
So they go back into the waiting room outside of the king or whatever's
That's
office,
true.
and they're sitting there pretending to have not
Waited
gone in to
the whole
see him
time.
yet. What's his face put his helmet back on, and she is basically unscathed. So they're just sitting there, and like the steward comes up and is like, "Are you guys still waiting? That's such a bummer." Opens the door. They're like, "Oh my god, bloodbath, viscera." It is said that they are questioned for several hours and kept in the castle. And let me tell you, they never took off the helmet of her guard because his eye is swollen shut. They questioned him for hours, and they didn't take off his helmet to look at his face because they weren't suspicious of him or something. Again, like, his palm is free now. If they looked at his hands once, they would have seen who he was.
Why did she even take it off? Oh, wait, she took it off.
Why were they?
What
If they were questioned for hours, what were they questioning them about? Like, they said that they were held here for hours.
Poor writing, poor accountability.
It's
so
like,
we get past
it's disrespectful to take a guy's helmet off.
Again. It's just, no, that's a good point. I forgot about the questioning part, but also in general, the escape, their ability to escape in general was like, oh, everybody's just dumb but them, I guess. So they go back, and then
they go back to their room first. They're, getting ready to leave. Osric pops open one of the scotches and is about to drink, and he's like, "Oh, this smells like shit. This isn't the one that we tasted yesterday." And Orianne grabs it and smells it, and she's like, "Put the cork back on." Puts the cork back on. She's like, "This is like poison. This is like realizes that this is
a cultured disease.
This is a cultured disease. This is the pox." And she was like, "How many more of these bottles were like down in the basement?" He's like, "He had a shit ton." She's like, "Oh my god, they're spreading this disease on purpose." Like, so like, we don't know why yet.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting.
Because for what purpose are they getting a whole bunch? Wait. While they're discussing this, they said something I didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, what purpose would a whole bunch of, or he says, what purpose would a whole bunch of brain dead orphans do? And she says, how do they make
this
something?
isn't at this point, but I know what you're talking about. I was very confused. That's
we may as well just like shove it together though, because it's about the same thing.
So, but it should be noted, this isn't revealed until after like the hurt comfort scene. So,
yeah.
So maybe we'll bring it up then. But I'll remember, because I was very confused about that.
Anyway, so that happens. If I recall correctly, is not the next thing is when he hears that what's his face is going to go be the next person to infiltrate the.
Yes. So our boy Osric learns the grapevine of assassins that one of his boys is about to go attack Swanstone, is what it's called.
Yes, and he's about to. Well, also keep in mind, we never mentioned this, but the big reason why his safe system doesn't work anymore is he had damage to his spinal cord and behind his neck, I believe, and wherever, I think, I think so. And so I got a little confused with the medical terms, but it was a maul, and the person who used this maul on him and smashed his spine, and that caused the injury that caused his safe system to decay, is this dude.
Oh, I completely missed that. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I had no idea. So this guy is sneaking into Swanstone. He's, breaching the protocol that, houses aren't supposed to attack each other, but he's gonna like make this attack. So our boy Osric gets word that this is happening, and he's like, I gotta call my girl on her cell phone, her DFO. I'm gonna send my little wolf to talk to her, and she's not picking up. She's not picking up his little wolf visitor. And he's like, what? I keep calling you. Why aren't you picking up? And eventually, like, her DFO shows back up, and she's like, what the fuck do you want, man? She's at the opera. Like, say just what do you want? She's like, the opera at a time like this? Anyway, he's like, like, this is really important. I'm doing this thing. Or actually, first he kills the guy.
Yes, he does.
First, he kills the guy who is on his way. He has made a couple of calls to her before this, and then he just kills the guy before he can make it to Swanstone.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, Then he calls her again, and that's when her Daffel shows up after he's killed this guy.
Yes, during his kerfuffle, he was the man. I'm gonna call him Bob. I'm pretty sure his name is like.
It starts with a B. It's like Blythe or something.
Yeah, or something like that. Anyway, he ends up killing himself actually to avoid
because he started trying to torture him for information, which the author has said multiple times. Torture doesn't work. It's not a blah 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 blah.
So it didn't work, I guess.
It didn't work.
Will would appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he dies, but he realizes when her day of fold comes through, and is like, bruh,
girl, you're bleeding, or rather, boy, you're bleeding real bad. He's like, it's not that bad, just a few scratches, and he's like, oh.
And then he's like, oh, there's a whole sword in his abdomen.
Side, which I guess is numb now because of the spread of his. Which, you know what, you would know if you're.
There would be pressure. There would be pressure, right?
You would feel the tingling, the awful, like there's kind of a stabbing pain that comes with numbness.
Yeah, like I've had
it's deeply uncomfortable. It's very painful actually, and like it hurts so bad. Like
when I broke my feet, they were numb for a certain amount of time, but there was still pressure when I stepped on them. And there was still pressure when somebody applied pressure. So what would have been fun is for her to explore a little bit of the body horror in this moment of him not feeling it. Like that would have been a good moment for minor body horror. But anyway, so he's like, oh, she's at the opera. What? And then he's like, at her family's house here. Whatever.
She's on her way back from the opera with her family. This is her mother's the Daffel, Orien's Daffel gives him her mother's address because her Daffel knows that she cares about him and would not want this to happen at this point. So he's like, go to her family's house. This is the address. So he's like stumbling, bleeding out, wandering to her house. Right. He shows up at her doorstep. Meets the family. While he's like pale.
Yeah, it very much reminded me of the a lot of the scenes from Spinning Silver when you get into the family's house.
Oh yeah, very much so. It's actually a little bit sweet, and it makes me upset that we didn't get more of these family scenes because it's clear that she's close with her family, and the fact that this is the first time we meet them, or she thinks about her. She doesn't think about her family and her perspective at all, and she's clearly very close with them. It doesn't make sense. It's weird.
There is the sequence of scenes that come thereafter of this moment paint a different Ariane than we have known. And both can't exist in her line of work. She would have strained relation. I mean, realistically, let's be real. If you are a surgeon at a really high-end clinical study place, you're going to have strained relationships with certain people, or there are going to be expectations for those relationships, and you will not probably have many close ones. But in the sequence of scenes that come after this, we are shown an Ariane that is heavily loved.
Suddenly she's a family woman, like deeply beloved, and has a ton of friends, none of who were thought about or mentioned at all. None of her family, none of her friends were mentioned prior to this at all.
No.
And we have been in her perspective so much.
With the exception of two friends, by the way, and I'm just going to make a very small side comment at this moment. Yeah. I forget their names. One's French, the other one's not. And I think they're married.
Something.
Yes, and I believe there's a line dropped later on that says they're married. But there's a scene, a very specific scene where they come to emotionally comfort Ariane in a very intimate fashion. By intimate, I mean like feeding her grapes, them laying down on a blanket together in her office. Like it's very coupley. It's not just like girls just want to have fun moment. Okay. It's more of like let me provide emotional comfort for you, which is very intimate in a relationship.
You're
sort of
absolutely right. I know what you're talking about now, and I see what you're saying. I think my initial thought was that maybe she had dated one of them prior, and one of them is just a good friend now that like her friend has gotten.
I mean,
I
can see that too. From what line is dropped later on, they're a married couple who took her in as like not a pet per se, because that's very belittling.
I think they're just engaged as well. I think they're about to get married.
Yeah, or that. But I think they take her on as like, like when there are couples that take on like a third partner, and it's not a sexual partner per se, but it's just a third person they're taking care of, like almost like a pet project. I mean, I can't help.
Or even just a really good friend, honestly. Like, I mean, yes, could be.
That too. I keep associating negativity with it because my experience with it is very negative. But that being said, like, yeah, it's not necessarily negative. In fact, if anything, it's very positive for her. But yeah, it's portrayed in a way that's a little bit like abnormal for just like general friendship. It's a little bit more intimate than that in some way.
Hmm. Yeah, and we should say both of the characters are pretty much confirmed to be bisexual. I don't
Yeah,
know. It's
basically.
fine. Like I am bisexual myself. The representation feels a little bit lackluster and kind of like,
Yeah,
wouldn't it be fun if my straight relationship was, you know,
spicy.
spicy, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't add much. I'm fine with it being there.
It doesn't add anything. It doesn't detract anything.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Again, I do love representation, but it just kind of feels like something tacked on for the sake of it a little bit. Regardless,
It feels purposeless.
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, and you don't need a purpose for bisexual representation. That's fine.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
But like, it doesn't.
But why would you put a relationship in general unless it had a purpose? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying not necessarily on the representation scale, but more on the give it a purpose, give it a reason, and then it will become all the more potent.
Again, like to compare it to Tamsin Muir again and like Gideon the Ninth, like you get the sense like when all of the characters are a little bit bi and a little bit gay, like it adds something to it and like the character dynamics, and it makes it adds tension to the character dynamics in an interesting way. Whereas this is just sort of like flaccid, like, oh, they're bi. It's not going to affect anything. It's not going to change anything.
This whole book has just affected your vernacular and my vernacular. Okay, so wait, we are getting on to the too long part.
Okay, yeah, so our boy walks in. He's bleeding out, but he can't tell anyone. He's like, oh, I'm a friend of Orienne's to Mom, who looks just like Orienne. He walks into the party. He's able to hide his bleeding somehow. I'm not quite sure. I guess a big coat. He walks in. And Orienne's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I'm your friend. And she's like, oh yeah, this is my friend, guys. I forgot I invited a friend. And she's like staring daggers at him. It takes him a really long time to finally get her away from the family members long enough to be like, hey, I'm bleeding out, girl, I've been stabbed. And she's like, I gotta get him to a room. He's a little unwell. And
he has a condition.
Yes, and Mom and Dad are like, oh my god, we have no spare rooms. There's no spare rooms. Oh dear Lord. And she's like, I'm just gonna take him to my room. And they're like, don't get frisky before desserts. And she's like, Mom, don't be weird. And takes him upstairs. And like some of the family like banter was a little bit funny, and like the frantic nature of it, I was like, okay.
I think so. There after this scene, basically, she ends up healing him or like fixing him like surgically.
Starting to. It's a process.
Yes, it's a whole process because his intestines have been punctured, which is a disgusting thing to happen. But anyway, so like
they haven't actually. I think they avoided that somehow. They narrowly avoided being punctured.
Fair enough.
That was a concern.
Yeah. So which would be. But anyway, so he's like bedridden. There's this in and out moments of like a couple different things. But I think so there's a series of like flash forward scenes where he's like stuck in bed. I'm jumping a little bit, but the point is like the family comes in and visits him, and like it's kind of cute. And I actually felt like she didn't capitalize on the right moments of the family. Like I don't think she should have slowed this part down. I think fast forwarding was the right choice. But I think she chose the wrong moments and the wrong things to emphasize because none of them were particularly funny and none of them were particularly endearing. And yeah.
But there was the bones of it. And we're going to talk about the end of this book eventually, but I really think this author flubbed the pacing of this book. I think we could have cut out one or two of the like little outings that they had with that was just stupid banter, check, fail. And it could have been like a narrative summary or whatever. And if this had started like closer to the middle of the book and we'd gotten like more bonding between him and the family and more insight into Orienne and her relationship with her family and gotten more insight into Osric and how he killed his father. And because, like there was all of this, like there's all of this familial like relationship that I think is really interesting that she could have explored, and it was sort of forced into the last like was fourth of the
into
book.
Literally this big a space.
Like, and it was just like, it was weird that like this was this scene, this sort of like montage
felt like it should have went on a little longer.
This montage is in the place in the book where the climax should have been. I can't express
Yes!
that to you. This is where the climax should have been, and it's this kind of slow relational thing. And that's interesting, and I'm glad we explored it, but it's in a weird place in the book. And
maybe it could have been okay, but I think it concludes itself too quickly at the end.
And at this point, it's really bizarre, especially because like all of the other plot stuff sort of fades into the background, and we're just focusing on the relationship right now, because he's bedridden, and all of the scenes we get from her, we might get 1 or 2 moments with her back with the healers, but mostly it's her taking care of him,
and it's mostly him and her family.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple.
It's very Pride and Prejudice-y.
Yeah. And there's a scene where she masturbates to him accidentally in the tub.
And he masturbates to her on purpose, watching her.
In the same room as her, watching her sleep. And he's like, I'm the worst of all men. I've killed so many people, but this was the worst thing I've ever done. And then there's like their hosting party, because the reason all of Orion's family is here is because I guess it's her aunt's birthday or something.
Yeah, 60th birthday or something like that.
Yeah, it's some family members. They're going all out on the birthday, and he's still kind of weak in bed, but she's downstairs all dressed up and pretty.
And he's
watching her with her ex-boyfriend, who she never talked about. Her ex-almost boyfriend. Her
ex-husband, basically.
Some hottie who she didn't want.
Yes, not husband, betrothed.
Mm-hmm. So he's watching from the balcony, like looking down on this scene where multiple men are dancing with her, and he's like, God damn it, I think she might be beautiful, actually. Maybe I like her after all.
Okay, at this point, you should know. Okay, at this point in my male protagonist, you know what I want? I don't want any angsty retellings and internal monologues like this. I want non-specific third-person narration of his actions and his thoughts without any self-internalization and without any self-recrimination. At this point in time, I want to be painted the scene of his love for her, not told that he's denying that love. Because at this point, as an adult, come on, man, move past it. This is too long. The gag is done.
The gag is done. The gag has been overplayed to death. And now you still are playing, even though at this point it's a flimsy thing, even in the narration. It's still like, are you still paying lip service to this guy? Come on. Like, anyway, so he's watching, and eventually she comes back up. She's a little tipsy. She's been drinking champagne downstairs, and she came up to see him. How sweet. And they're talking on the balcony, and she tells him about the Mr. Pretty Boy downstairs. And he's like, I'm going to ask her to dance with me. So they do a little dance on the balcony. He's like, well, if you don't want this guy and you want to, break his heart this way, we could share a little kiss right here, right now. And she's like, well, I don't know. So they share a little kiss, and boy, is it not that little. And boy, is a little spicy. And she's like, wow, I can't believe we don't like each other. And this kiss is still so spicy. And he's kissing my neck now. And like, oh no, but we're still not in love. Oh, that's crazy that he's able to pretend this well. And
that was the dumbest line, because she's already been told by her Deafold that Osric cares about her. So she knows he does. So that's a dumb thing to say to herself.
Like, she's pretending to be stupid, and like, you, the reader, are like, can we stop the pretending?
Can we stop pretending? Like, just do you.
Like, and like, I know we need to have a second book and you want the drama of the second book, but whatever. Anyway, eventually he gets a little better and he leaves and he goes home to the assassins. And he's like, wow, it's so nice that she saved me. And we're at the home stretch here. He gets wind from our French girl. What's her name again? Taz with a T?
Oh, Tristan,
yes. And she's like, so we haven't heard from this guy who our boy Osric killed. Who was supposed to do this job, by the way. And we could only assume that he's dead. I guess he just couldn't get it done. I guess I'm going to have to do it now. And Osric plays dumb. And she's like, yeah, the job is actually pretty sketchy. It's going against the house rules that we're not attacking to each other, but I'm going to do it anyway. And he's like, cool, got it. Someone's got to die. I totally get it. He immediately zoops out, goes back to Orien's room. Cool. He has warned, and they've put up a shit ton of wards like around the.
In fact, when he tries to send his Deafold again, she had promised him, she's like, I will never deny your Deafold again, with the whole like gut piercing thing, and and she's not, and so his Deifold says, oh, she must be passed out. And so he's like, oh, I have to tell her right away. So he goes onto the premises, he jumps up to her window, he notices the ward, and he's like, ah. And then, but she just then wakes up, his Deifold comes out and is like, hey, big news. And she's like, I'm scraggly. And her hands are all gnarly because she's been using her safe all day.
But also she's wearing a slutty little gown. He's like, she didn't wear that when we were sharing a room together. Now she's wearing a sheer gossamer dress to bed.
Let me tell you, you want to know what I don't wear to bed is a gossamer dress.
When no one is in the room with me, I'm wearing like a stupid little shorts and a t-shirt.
Or nothing at all. Like, I don't wear clothes sometimes, and neither I know does Maria. So I know it's a lady thing, and sometimes it's a man thing. But the point is like, oh, a sexy lingerie. Like, I mean, anyway, it's not lingerie, but the point is, so he's like, yo, I'm at the window, and she's like, oh, don't come through the window, and he's like, I know they're, like these barriers, and she's like, yeah, they put them all up after you gave us the warning. We actually really invested in it. It's been like really expensive, and he says, well, that's great because Tristan's after you, and so they exchange. They sit.
She's like, I'm so scared because you're scared of this woman. Like, you have described this woman as something fearful, and I've seen you kill a bunch of people. What on earth would something you're scared of look like? Which I'm curious about too. But they have this little conversation, and it gets sweet, and like she can move through it and he can't, and they like do have a little moment, and then the book fucking ends.
Just ends.
It just ends right there.
It just ends.
There's literally no climax.
There is so this ending scene is some of her best writing, actually. The way she describes it, it is beautiful as hell. And I'm like, wait, this sounds like a climax moment. And I'm like, and all of a sudden it starts listing the terminology at the end. And I was like, what the?
Wait a minute.
It does end. I think what she pictured, which is come tomorrow, we'll have to deal with these issues, which is in the sequel. But it's a very weird place.
Yeah. And I do have to tell you guys, throughout all of this, when Osric is dying, bleeding out, he and shows up at Orion's house, he introduces himself as he's dying, as Osric Hungwell. Has time for a little penis joke there as he's dying. It never stops. It never stops throughout all of this.
We didn't mention this, but during the lighthouse scene, actually, lo and behold, a new plot point, which actually didn't even feel like a real plot point after this because it takes the emphasis off of it so much. But he actually is healing. Not healing.
It is working. Like her efforts during the full moon at these like thin
the lighthouse
places,
place. Yeah. Specifically
working.
In particular.
Like, and she's like, it's too soon to say anything for certain, but it seems to be working.
Yeah, like I've staunched the decay. It's not accelerating like normal, which therefore means but it's not actively healing itself, if I remember correctly.
And one more line from when Osric is actively bleeding out at this party. He says, or rather it says, Osric tucked a hand into his cloak. Things felt rather wet and sticky, even through his glove, and not in a sexy way.
Oh my god, that's so dumb. Again,
this whole book, it doesn't take itself seriously, and when it begs you to take it seriously, I just can't do it.
That is a great description. My face. That is a great description, actually. I like that you said it begs you to take it seriously, which it does, and it could be taken seriously.
It could be. Even with this tone, it could be.
Yes, but it does bastardize itself in that way with as we've already, again, we've beaten this horse. Point is overall, this book has some really great qualities to it, but overall keeps undermining itself with its silly potty humor, its silly middle school jokes, and also its lack of true depth into the characters themselves because... And its pacing, I suppose, in the way it abruptly ends and the way that, like, we should have cut out some of these in-between scenes and, like, developed the relationship a little bit more quicker. It's I don't know. If I were going to give it out of a 10, I'd probably give it a 6.
Yeah,
maybe a 7.
Your little, like, recap there really nails it on the head for me. Like, yeah, I would say, like, I don't know. I'm personally like deeply like sensitive to cringe humor like this. Like it
Yeah.
ruins it for me so much. I would say like this is like a 5 at best. But if I ignored the bad like middle school potty humor of it all, like it would be higher. And like there are so many moments that I think are pretty well written and like pretty well handled. And it's a weird book to read.
It's super weird. It's I think what really at the end of the day tells me to give it a 6 or something like that, or something a little higher, is that I can listen to it very easily. It's like ear candy. Other than the like, you know, obviously
said,
the cringe
yeah.
moments, it's overall very competently like written per se, but not when it comes to the comedy and not when it comes to the more mechanical moments of it.
Yeah. Like the rhythm of the prose, the rhythm of the comedy when she's not making stupid jokes all the time is not bad. Like there is a real like sort of cadence to it that works. And like again, it's very funny to me that you didn't realize until now that, and we haven't talked about the fanfic of it all. And I don't think we need to, because this is, I've heard, quite different.
We could separately, like on a separate thing, which I think would be good like for an hour-long discussion if you're interested in it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I read this ultimately. I think it was interesting to read and interesting to analyze what went wrong with it specifically.
Well, like, you know what this book taught me is it taught me specifically the idea of, I think, the nuance of what I want out of a slowed down scene, like specifically the lighthouse scene. Like I realized really what I wanted in that exact moment, exactly as I wanted. And now whether or not that would work for everybody, I don't know. I think it would, but I understood in that moment how it's books like these that are so close to the cusp of being successful that help me best understand what I would do with my own writing in these moments. It's because it's faux pas that can be fixed. They can be rectified.
Things that hit close to home that you realize like, oh, this could have been a really powerful moment if not for this, and this. And again, like I have that scene bookmarked now, so if you ever want to explore it, I can send it to
let's
you.
do that at some point. Let's bring it up to Will as something that because I'm sure he'll need a stand-in at some point.
Yeah, but I was a joy to talk about this book with you, Katie.
Twas m'lady, despite all the fallacious jokes.
Yeah, I apologize to Will in advance for all of the quotes that I read. He's gonna have to witness those.
It'll be fine. I think he's well familiar with the anatomy. I feel
like this is probably gonna get demonetized or something because we said a whole lot of.
No, not really. Like once you get past the 30-minute mark, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I tried, but this was we went so long, but I'm glad we did. We had a good conversation.
Let's wrap it.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Join the Patreon, hang out with us on the Discord, etc., etc. We love you, our parasocial darlings.
Be safe. F ice.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.